Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick, terrible mic, Alex, to let you know that this episode with Adam was recorded last week. So when we say it was actually uploaded on the day of recording, it's a lie. But enjoy anyway. It's a great episode. And so hopefully you guys are okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Timeless Podcast. Today I'm joined by Adam. Because although he's called Barry Letts on my screen, I
Yes.
realised on the Zoom recordings you actually can't see the names. So I
No.
realised in the 1 year anniversary when I said he's called this for some reason, it made no sense to me whatsoever. But today the plan did change last minute. Unfortunately, Connor has come down with a chest infection. Don't worry, it's not COVID. It's not, to my knowledge, it's not COVID-19. So he's fingers crossed he's okay. We wish him well and hopefully be back on his feet soon. But Adam is still here. But this time we're not going to be talking about Canine and Company. We've got like an expansive sort of list to do. But first, let's just chat. Adam, how are you? It's been a while since we've done this like this on the podcast. I think like November.
Yeah, I think the last one where it was just you and I having a chat, it was about Captain America, the Christmas
Christmas adverts.
bonanza. Yeah. Yeah. Which is like probably the best entry. This is the best way to talk about the MCU. It's the best way to celebrate the MCU by incorporating Christmas. That's why Iron Man 3 is so celebrated. But in any case, yeah, I've been all right since then. All's groovy. Starting my final semester uni tomorrow. That's nerve-wracking, but at least at time of recording I've started. So Tuesday.
No. This comes out today. So
there we go. So it will be. It will be tomorrow then. Yeah, it will be tomorrow.
The reason this episode's up late is because we are recording it on Monday, the 15th. But yeah, so yeah, it's been strange, isn't it? Over the past since then, the world's kind of gone upside down, flipped. Kind of like Fresh Prince.
I was gonna say you need to start doing the Fresh Prince thing.
Yeah, I can't rap, so I'm not even going to attempt it. I could probably do it with the music on, but I couldn't. I'm no Will Smith, that's for sure. But yeah, so it's just it's crazy. I've started my second semester at uni, which is weird to think that you're starting your final one and I'm only going to go through the second one, which is strange. But I suppose that's weird. But yeah, we're here. We're going to chat some shit. Interestingly, though, today, Zoom took money of our bank accounts for season 8, like half a month early. Or no, it was 3 weeks early.
Yeah, pretty much. But I remember the original release date was meant to be next Monday, and then it got pushed back to early March. But I don't know what's going to happen. Whether we're going to get it maybe near the original release date, or whether we'd get it sometime before, because usually Zoom do dispatch sort of the weekend before it's released. So
yeah,
I think we're at a point, we're starting to get progress, but yeah.
And I wonder as well with Zoom apparently closing or at least being bought out or taken over, do they give a shit anymore? Are they just sort of like just get it out, like we got them in now, let's push them out, what have you? Yeah, it's strange for sure. Whenever we get it, because you messaged the chat. I wouldn't have noticed if you didn't tell me, so thank you. Because I didn't have money in my bank at the time, so I was like, right, I need to put money in. But yeah, if you didn't do that, I would just not noticed. Would have gone, why didn't I get season 8? But I do need to go on HMV website and cancel my season 8 because I pre-ordered it with them as well as a fail-safe, so I don't want 2 season 8s coming out in my bank account. That would be awful. So yeah, it's crazy. But also, we got a trailer yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Might have been the day before. Did you see said trailer?
Oh, is this? Yeah, I think I know which trailer you're talking about, and this sort of thing looks fine. I guess you're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, am I the only one that don't care?
I mean, do you know what's strange? I've not even seen the first version. Like, I've seen bits of it. I've seen bits and pieces of it. And
you don't want to. You don't want to. But like, this is my thing, right? Everyone's talking about release the Snyder Cut, release it in his own form, which I do believe as a filmmaker you should do. I do believe the studio should have done that. They should. Obviously, they brought Joss Whedon in, which has also brought its own controversies over the past few weeks and also last year with Ray Fisher and things like that. But but I'm sort of like, how can a 4-hour version of that fix the original thing, which was dreadful? Like there's no way you can't just bunk more on it to make it better. That's not how it works. I mean, let's like, for example, I mean, although I like Thomas Children, let's go with that. So, like Series 11, people said it was too light, it wasn't great, there wasn't enough connection. So Christian went, right, we'll do everything. And some people didn't like that. You can't just fix shit by making it longer. It's like, that ain't gonna work. Also, why is Jared Leto back? I thought we binned him off. Like, no offense to Jared Leto, but like nobody asked for that at all. Like, I don't think anyone went, I like that version of the Joker. And I think that is by almost unanimous. I think. I'm fairly sure it's probably got a corner of fans, but I don't know. Like, it seems weird. I want the Snyder cut of The Room when I do the Snyder cut of Justice League. Release the Snyder cut, but of The Room.
The Wiseau cut.
I want Zack Snyder to remake The Room.
I want Christopher Nolan to remake The Room.
Ooh, who would do better, Christopher Nolan or Quentin Tarantino?
Well, I know Tarantino will make it more violent, but then Nolan will probably just get Hans Zimmer going boom every now and again.
So you actually can't hear what the fuck they're saying.
Yeah, so it depends. Like, which one do you prefer?
Well, because in the Tarantino version, he probably would have hit her. And it turns out, but Christ, the bike. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think we're getting the Snyder Cut in the UK anyway, so I don't know why I'm so bothered. But yeah, I don't know. It just, to me, just seems a pointless thing. It's sort of, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's rather pointless as well? Like, the ending's going to be the same. Like, it's not going to change anything.
It probably won't change a great deal, but I think it's good that Zach's getting to tell his vision. I think it's good that I think yes. I think it depends, because like, no matter what people think of Jared Leto's Joker, I think it's fair enough giving him another shot and like, seeing how because people might think differently. People might change this. If I think dependent on like, because it's a different context as well, because now there's like Dark Side coming into it and everything like that. So I definitely feel like it'll add a different context, and if people people might not like that, and I know they're not going to carry on, but it's going to be a thing that's out there, and it's kind of up to the fans really to decide whether it's their cup of tea or not. So I don't feel like it's necessarily a pointless release. I think it's quite interesting, and I think because Marvel and DC are sort of going in sort of multiverse, so there's sort of multiple versions of different characters and stuff like that. It kind of feels like for the first time, both are kind of doing like a similar thing, where you just had Joaquin Phoenix do Joker, and then suddenly you had Jared Leto, but then I hear rumors of Michael Keaton might be coming into it as well. So it's all this kind of different, celebrating different versions of different stories. So I think it's fine.
So yeah, so also as well, Cherry has been pushed back, the Apple TV release, which is a shame because I was looking forward to that. It's been pushed back to the 12th of March. So a film I was genuinely looking forward to, Russo Brothers, which we probably could have reviewed eventually as well, considering on that Russo Brothers film sort of thing. And we were both sort of looking forward to it, but it's been pushed back a few weeks. I think it's also just to give it a cinema stint. I think that's the reason Apple did it. I have to say, though, I do like the fact that a lot of these companies are giving films cinema stints as well. I think that's really good, although they're not doing it as prolonged because they know it won't work out in the long run. They're already giving it a few weeks. I think that is a better way of going because it will help the cinemas. I think that's important. Obviously in the UK at the minute, cinemas aren't open, so Cherry probably won't get a cinema stint here. But are you still looking forward to Cherry?
I'm still looking forward to the films, even though no matter how many times the films get pushed back, I'm still looking forward to seeing what they're going to be like. Cherry's one, A Quiet Place 2, because I'm intrigued about how that's going to follow up from the first one.
Yeah, me too.
And even though Time to Die, which has been pushed back loads like since
All I'm saying
like
is, imagine if it's like the worst Bond film ever made, and everyone's been like, "Why do you keep pushing it back?" And it turns out there was actually a blessing in disguise. But yeah, the only reason I'm saying I'm really excited for Cherry is because it's the one film I know will be out in 2021. Like I know, in my heart of hearts, I know that's a film that I can get hyped for because I know it's around the corner. Yeah,
yeah.
but it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, 2021 and 2022 are going to be blockbuster years of cinema just because of the backlog. Like I think it's going to be like a few years until cinemas have kind of like a slow release date. I think there's going to be a massive burst of films coming out as soon as possible when we can reopen cinemas safely and all that sort of stuff. But yeah,
Mm,
also Adam, I watched Soul this week finally.
excellent.
Because you're probably going to think, well, why didn't you watch it when it first came out? Because I was home obviously for Christmas and I'm in Cardiff at the minute in my student flat, and I was like, I don't want to watch it on my laptop screen because it's Pixar. I was like, I want to give it the HD big screen treatment that I would normally get. And my family were like, yeah, we ain't watching that tross. So I was like, right, I've got to wait. And I came back and I got busy, and then you forget, and then it just everything piles on top, and then but no, I was like, right, I'm gonna watch it today, and I cried. So there you go, Pixar normal. Did you enjoy Soul? What do you think was better of the 2020 releases for Pixar, Onward or Soul?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Soul, because it's deeply touched by Soul. That was a bad pun, but
That wasn't.
yeah,
That
I
was all
think
right. I don't think. I think you've made worse. I think you had.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I think Soul. I just love Pixar's very sort of both can attract kids and also adults, into the story. Into story, it's rich. It's very. It's got his kind of quiet character moments, but also it's got his sort of fun, absurd kind of Pixar-y quirks about it as well. And that's what I love, that the
It,
balance is so there, that they get the emotion, but also the fun part of it. Like, um, the Jamie Foxx's character being in the body of a cat, stuff like that
yeah.
you where you can have the fun moments, but then you're like, oh my god, somebody else was like
Yeah.
it was in their body. Yeah, they just do it so well. So I think Soul was definitely more. It hit that balance a bit more
Yeah.
than maybe Onward. I'd say, yeah.
I think Onward was sort of the blockbuster sort of release that year.
Yes,
It was
I
very
agree.
much like which is kind of weird to say for Pixar, but I kind of like the fact that they didn't. It's sort of like your Incredibles 2. Like, I like Incredibles 2. I prefer it to the original, but again, though, I just kind of like tit for tat. They're both incredible films. No, that was an accidental thing. But they are really good. But there was something about Soul that was just you didn't know where it was going. Yeah,
Mm,
you didn't know. And although some people might find the ending cheap, I actually find it rather beautiful.
mm.
But no, to be fair as well, I completely forgot to look for the Easter eggs, so I'm gonna have to go back, do some googling, find out where your typical Pixar Easter eggs are in that film. It
The
was weird.
Pizza Planet van.
It was weird. It was weird to see Graham Norton in a Pixar film, but have a rather like he wasn't like a main character, but he have a rather prominent part. It was kind
Mm,
of strange, but also I like the fact in the trailers they didn't reveal anything because there was barely any of the whole cat stuff in the trailers. It was all just like the soul verse, I guess,
mm.
that you saw in the trailers. It was nice to have Richard Ayoade in another animation film because obviously he was in Lego Movie 2 as the ice cream. Um, so it's nice to see him back again. I'm a big fan of his. No, yeah, overall, beautiful film. Yeah, but Pixar are definitely on the stride right now. I can't remember what their next film offering is because Disney drops so much stuff that you just can't remember everything.
Mm.
Because I know Raya and the Last Dragon is a Disney film, isn't it? It's not. That's
It
not
is a
Pixar.
Disney. It's not
So,
Pixar, no.
so yeah, so whatever Pixar are offering next, I'm excited. Whatever Disney are offering next, I'm excited. And also quickly, WandaVision. Obviously, in 3 weeks' time, when WandaVision wraps up, Adam will be back. But that's time to talk about Civil War and WandaVision. We're still going to have to like double it because at that point, WandaVision
Yeah.
will be finished. But WandaVision this week. What do you think?
It's really getting going. I'm really liking what they're doing. I think they're striking a good balance between everything in Westview that's going on and also the stuff at Sword. I don't think either feel like it's we're cut back to Sword. It's a bit boring, and then Westview. It's sort of it's. Both parts of the storyline are equally engaging, and so you have the fun sitcom-y side of things which is built, which is built upon this like mystery side of like who's really in control, what's going on. And I think the best thing about these kind of shows is the theories you have, and there's like a bunch of theories I could probably go into, but I'll discuss that sort of at a later date, what I sort of where I think my theories are going. But it's getting me thinking, it's getting me looking forward to the series. And when the next episode drops is also when the Muppet Show drops. So
you're so
excellent.
excited for that. He's so excited.
Yeah, I'm ready.
That's worth it. What is it now? $8.99 alone? Has it gone up to $8.99 now with Star coming?
I probably will. Yeah, I think it's $5.99 because Star's about to drop. I think.
Oh, so it's $7.
Week.
It goes to $7.99. It goes to $7.99 because it goes up by £2.
I think it will later. Yeah, but I don't think it's yet because Star's not happened yet.
Star comes out next Tuesday, so we got one more podcast before Star. It's quite interesting, but you can't wait for the Muppet Show. It's like
it's just that bit of light entertainment that you need.
No.
These crazy times,
I'm not
definitely.
joking, but I remember vividly when it first got announced. The like you could not stop smiling. And
it was great.
You were loving it. It's great. It's nice, Also, just for the people watching this on the YouTube, this is currently my phone background. Don't ask why. I had a few drinks.
Oh, there I am, yeah.
I had a few drinks one night, and Adam said, keep that as your phone background, and I haven't changed it. I don't know why. I haven't found anything good to change it with yet, but I will. It's just because that face is rather funny as well. Do you think you could recreate that?
If I were drunk, which I was at the time.
But, were you? That was like within that.
Well, I was a few drinks in at least. I think I was like 3 or 4 pints in. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Remember when you could go to the pub and have a pint? Oh,
yeah.
Christ. Yeah, no, I think the good thing about WandaVision, to go back as well, is there's mysteries on both sides. So you got mysteries in Westview, and then you've got mysteries within Sword as well. I think that kind of keeps both sides engaging. I'm definitely liking the later episodes, not only because also Pietro's in there and you don't know what's going on with him. Is he Pietro? Probably not. But also I they're now doing the sitcoms that I remember. You know what I mean? So it's sort of
did
like
Malcolm in the Middle, didn't
Malcolm
they?
in the Middle, which obviously I remember that slight like little bits compared to like Bewitched, which obviously I'd never seen. So that was like, but I think as well, it's going to be one of those series that it's going to change things in a big way by the end of it. I think as well, the sitcom stuff is great. I think the second half is making WandaVision a lot more rewatchable. I think as well. I think that's kind of like a cool thing. But no, there's so many mysteries now. Who's Agnes? Can Vision actually survive outside of whatever they're calling it? They've got a name for it. I just can't remember. Whatever they're calling it.
The Hex or something.
The Hex, there you go, because the hexagons. The Hex. Can he survive outside the Hex? Apparently not. He doesn't remember he's an Avenger, which is kind of interesting. So it's all kind of strange. We don't know what's going on. It's exciting. Yeah. Anyway, we've got a big thing to discuss this week, so we may as well get into it, because we may be here for a while in typical Alex and Adam fashion. So essentially, we were meant to do K9 Company, as said before, and then literally a few hours earlier, Connor woke up feeling incredibly ill. So I was like, right, Adam, we need a backup plan. He's like, I got this. He said, I'm gonna let you explain it, so I don't mess it up, but I know what we're doing.
Yeah, so basically, yesterday Emily Cook hosted a watch along for Love and Monsters, and I thought I have not seen that story in years, probably around the time it was broadcast, or just later, because I became a fan later, but sort of near of the time it was broadcast. But anyway, I thought we could just like either defend or talk about an episode that's hugely polarizing and like see maybe get to opposite views and do that kind of thing. And then we kind of expanded it and kind of thought, well, why don't we just kind of do a favorite, underappreciated and overappreciated Doctor? So essentially, for the first 7 of the classic Doctors, from Doctors 1 to 7, and also the 5 modern Doctors, 9 through to 13.
We're missing out 8 because
because there's not a lot of TV. We're just going through the TV era of Doctor Who, because obviously I've listened to a fair bit of Big Finish, not like a massive multitude amount, and I think I could probably say the same for Alex.
Yeah.
So it's a bit harder to judge. So,
If
we just go
if only
TV.
we could tag in Ben Let for the Eighth Doctor segment.
Yes,
He
yeah.
would be able to give us a great overview. But yeah,
Mm.
so mate, so how should we do this in terms of order? Should we do?
We could do it by Doctor.
Yeah,
So
no,
you
but
go for your,
I know that, but I'm saying, do we do underrated? Should we do underrated for no? Should we? Yeah, should we go from positive to negative? So should we go best, underrated, overrated?
yeah, I did best, underrated, overrated.
No, no, let's do that one.
And what we might do, should we just list it like per Doctor and then discuss it per Doctor, rather,
Yeah,
so
no, yeah.
I'll list my favorite, underappreciated, overappreciated in one, then you do your the same, and then so
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. But we'll do it per Doctor, not all of them
oh yeah,
together.
per Doctor. But I didn't want to do favorite and then because that'd take us forever to like
yeah
navigate.
Right. So first Doctor, what is your list?
Oh,
I put them on the spot.
I was just taking a drink just because I knew I'd be like talking a lot. So my favorite is the Time Meddler.
Nice.
Underappreciated is the Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Overappreciated, the 10th Planet.
Okay, so my favorite is the Aztecs. The underappreciated one, I've got Edge of Destruction, and overappreciated, I've got An Unearthly Child.
I nearly went Unearthly Child, but I went, nah, not really.
Right. So the Time Meddler, I can't really comment on because it's one I haven't seen. I've heard great things. I know TARDIS Monkey did a watch long, but that was the weekend I was busy doing something. I know I was away and I wanted to do it, but I knew I was away somewhere. So I did want to do that one, but I didn't get around to it. But I have seen The Chase, so I can talk about The Chase. The Chase is really good. I like it. I think it is underappreciated because it's not perfect. There are cracks in the writing and such forth. But I think it's also, although Susan's exit is seen as like the first big exit of Doctor Who, I think Ian and Barbara is a much larger loss to the first Doctor, not as a character, but I think as an era. I think that dynamic of the three of them, which is quite solid throughout the rest of that season, after Susan goes, is kind of what you remember at the first Doctor's era. The Doctor, Ian, and Barbara is sort of that trio. Well, yeah, and maybe it's just because I don't like Susan. Sorry, Susan. But no, I think it's a really monumental story that is underappreciated. You can't really go wrong with some Daleks either. 60s Daleks, it's great. Just also it's not, the pacing's rather strong. I never really get bored with it. There's just some bits in it that like, huh? But I don't really get bored with The Chase. I think it's a solid story.
It's I think it's a Dalek story. It's not them at their, like, obviously they have menace to them, but I think because they're so little, weak-minded and sort of so simple-minded, and like in terms of the villains, like just make everybody, just as long as the Daleks reign supreme across the galaxy, that's sort of their main goal. The fact that also you can kind of, the bit where the Dalek falls off the pirate ship, and it's also fun and rewarding, I think, as an audience member, to sort of see them sort of go through, like, to see them sort of being sort of taken out by like Frankenstein and stuff. Because I don't think it makes them weak. It's just having kind of fun with it as well. You kind of feel like, it's instead of them being sort of menace, and that's kind of it, really.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, I think, like I said, I don't, by all means, I know you did put it as your favorite, but I don't think it's the best. But I think it's definitely a lot. I know, obviously, when we did the Doctor Who virtual pub quiz, when you did your quiz, that you got an actor from that. Was it Peter Purves?
Peter Purves, yes.
Yeah. And he say it was like a dumpster fire or something like that? Didn't he say it was? Was it something like that? Didn't he call it like a mess?
I don't know. It can be, but like,
it's definitely not the best well-rounded story, but I think it's fun. And I think that's something that Doctor Who should be above everything else, especially in the classic era. I think now in the modern television world, you probably couldn't get away with the story being film plot hole, especially with Twitter. Jesus Christ, Twitter would have a go at you if you had that kind of that kind of stuff. But I think, especially for 62, the ones I remember the most fondly are the ones that are fun. And they kind of just make you like smile. I think that's kind of what a classic story can do to its best ability. But no, yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that's definitely a solid choice. And then you said
the 10th Planet.
Oh, I don't know, man. I think I disagree with you here. I don't think it's perfect at all. I think,
Mm.
but I really like it.
I think I'd argue because obviously the main villain are the Cybermen, and they have a great end of part one with the hand in the snow, and like
Yeah,
you see the human hand, so there is that kind of that. It's great, and they do have a great sort of introduction even in part two when they're inside the base and everything. I think probably for a lot of people, and I think this is probably a common thing that's said across the fandom is like because of like they were humans. I think maybe there could be a in terms of that sort of body horror kind of moment when you kind of they certainly got the creep and the menace, but I think you know there's probably a lot more that could have been done in terms of that kind of in terms of what the idea of the Cybermen were to maybe push that a bit further. I like the stuff in the base, and it's quite a tense drama. The general's son's up there, and there's a great sort of in terms of the humans on the base. It's got some great stuff there, but yeah, it's a good introduction, but like I think that's really it. I think there's a lot more depth that's explored later with the Cybermen.
yeah, no, I think so. And I understand why you would say it's slightly overappreciated because I think this obviously is it's not anyone's fault. But obviously, Hartnell being absent for a lot of the story does sort of derail it as well. Obviously, due to his health things like that. I think there's definitely it kind of negates the third part. Is the third part it just disappears, right?
Yes,
Essentially,
that's it. Yeah.
yeah. So that part is sort of, but I don't know. Oh, it's tough because it's such a monumental story. It's the first regeneration. It's the first Cyberman story.
Mm,
It's sort of like is it overappreciated or should it be? It's close. Do you know what? I don't know whether
yeah.
I don't know whether I fully agree with you, but I see why you put it there. I
I couldn't.
suppose
I think in terms of First Doctor stuff,
it's
in
tough,
terms of
isn't it?
overappreciate, it's a bit. It was a bit like I don't really think any's too
Yeah,
overly appreciated, which is why I thought
yeah.
I think it became close to 10th Planet.
I don't think you can with the first Doctor because everything is new. And this is
It
this
gets
is
trickier later.
this is what I say because, like, for example, the joke is that I don't like the first Doctor Zero, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but you have to appreciate it. So we say overappreciated or underappreciated, especially that overappreciated. You can't really overappreciate anything because it's all new. They're all trying new things. It's tough,
Mm.
especially the later Hartnell stuff with him being ill and things like that. You kind of don't want to go, yeah, well, this is bad, but I see why you put it. Like I get it for sure.
Mm.
Right, my turn. So I said my favorite was the Aztecs,
Yes.
which I think it's your quintessential. I would say your quintessential historical story throughout all of Doctor Who. That honest, like, and I mean that legitimately because it's the first classic historical I watched. And I think it sets everything up perfectly. I think Barbara, you know, tried to change the past and then the Doctor going, "You cannot change history, not one line." One of the best lines in all of Doctor Who as well. I think it's really good. I think it shows the consequences. I think the actual past is well realized, unlike some classic Who stories where it looks kind of hokey. I think I think actually the black and white aesthetic helps it, and that you actually do think they're where they're meant to be. I don't know. I think it's brilliant. I think it's only 4 parts as well, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. It wraps up quick enough. But yeah, I think it's really fun.
Agreed.
I,
Absolutely agreed. It's as you say, it's very quintessential. It's very much in terms of like if you were to show somebody a historical from the classic era, odds are this one's probably going to be the one that you show, and particularly with the you can't rewrite history, not one line. That's very iconic, and Barbara sort of that friction between the Doctor and Barbara because she's very much in sort of she's very much like wants to potentially rewrite history for the better, and you can see where she's coming from. But the Doctor's like, no, some things have to stick, and it's sort of where it all began in terms of that sort of trope in Doctor Who because it's done multiple times throughout its different iterations. So yeah,
yeah,
it's great.
yeah, no, and yeah, I would agree with you. And I also think he uses all the companions well. I think, especially we've seen even in the modern era, when you have 3 companions, some of them have to get pushed to the wayside. But I think this is one of those stories where everyone does something or they have something to do. I think it's important. But yeah, no, I think it moves at a beat. I think it's fun. It's always one that I probably would go to rewatch. You said if you watch a Heart, and I'd probably go with that one. Because I think it's just, I don't think it's boring. I think there's always something to it. There's merit to it consistently and constantly.
Mm. And he gets engaged.
Yes, the Doctor gets engaged for the first time of many.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I went underappreciated. I went for Edge of Destruction. I watched this with Owen during lockdown because I was like, right, you need to watch a William Hartnell because I haven't watched a lot. And he was like, right, watch this one because he knows I'm not a fan of long drawn out classics. Um, because I'm the sort of person that likes to watch a classic in one go, so it's like 8 parts. I kind of like go, oh no, because I also have a really bad memory, or I just won't come back to it. Like next day, I'll leave it a few days gapped, and I'll forget everything. And like I just kind of reconnect the dots. But but this one's really good, not only because it's 2 parts, but also because it's so different. I think it's going for obviously it's budgetary, which is why they're just in the TARDIS, but it actually kind of works well. You see these characters that we haven't known for very long at the time turn against each other, and things are different. And like it's not a remarkable story; it's just a little solid kind of bottle episode before bottle episodes were a thing, really. And I think it's just fun. I think it's just fun to watch the character interactions. Susan's got a knife that's pretty funny, or is it scissors? It's something like that, isn't it?
Mm.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just fun.
I think, yeah, as a two-parter, it works so well because you had previously you had the 7-part of the Daleks, which is quite epic and it's quite well, obviously there's a lot of story to cover. So having a sort
And
of
it
two-parter to
killed the
follow that.
budget. It killed the budget.
Yeah, I think they use their limit. I think the great thing about Classic Who is that they use their limitations in terms of budget and stuff to their advantage, and there's some like incredibly imaginative and innovative stuff, which I'm sure we'll probably cover in the upcoming Doctors.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. I think, like you said, it. Yeah, I think it's just. I think it's solid. I don't think it's remarkable.
Mm.
Sort of like what you said. You do underappreciate the story. It's not remarkable, like you said with the chains. It's solid. It's fun. It's just entertaining, which is what Doctor Who
Yes.
should be. You know, but the overappreciated one, An Unearthly Child, it's bollocks. as
From
an
start
over,
to finish.
as an over, no. Part one's all right, but then after that, it's bollocks. Like it's one of the worst bits of TV I've ever watched, and I mean that legitimately. Like it's in my bottom 10 stories because it makes no sense. So it's like the first part is really good. Like no doubt, it's very good at setting up the story. But the turn it takes, you would have thought you would have drunk many drinks and you thought you would have watched a different story.
Mm.
Honestly, like I get, obviously they filmed the first part as a pilot type thing and they changed a few things when it went to air, but they just don't link. Like they kind of went, right, we need to give them a first adventure. Caveman make fire? It's like, what the fuck? And literally, like 3 parts of Doctor that a story, an hour of your story is about the caveman making fire. Like Jesus Christ, it's this. It's just it shouldn't have been 4 parts. If it was 2, fine, but not another 3 parts just about cavemen making fire. It's just bollocks. The first part's really good, but it's sort of like if you were to watch a film and you went, well, the first half an hour was great, but then it just went shithouse. You can't like in its own bubble. If I was to watch the first part, it's remarkable. But apart from that, as a whole package, which is what we're doing here, yeah, it's shit. Like it, yeah, it's awful.
I think in that case, I probably should have put the Cave of Skulls, the Forest of Fire, or something, or the Firemaker, or the Forest of Fear, the Firemaker. Like because in the early Hartnell ones, each individual episode, like in terms of parts, had names until I think it was season 3 or season 4, sort of around that point where it was just episode 1, episode 2 of like said story. But an unearthly child, another part of an unearthly child is that's why it's hard because it's just a quarter of your story
Yeah,
is a very solid build up to the whole show. It is it's a shame that the latter 3 quarters they are what they are, but
they're
it's
awful.
hard to it's sort of hard to press. It's hard, but I feel like it's also hard to sort of press that against the first part. It's just so difficult.
Yeah. But it's sort of like you see what they can do within season 1, and you go, well, it's not like they didn't have writing capabilities because season 1 is rather good actually in its own thing. I mean, apart from those 3 parts, you haven't obviously seen Marco Polo, and also I kind of like Reign of Terror, which a lot of people don't, but I don't mind Reign of Terror. But yeah, Unearthly Child is shit. Like it's bad. Like I know some people are gonna disagree with me, but I'm never watching an Unearthly Child. I'll watch part one and turn off. Like,
I
and
don't.
I mean that legitimately.
Yeah, I mean, well, the goal, of course, originally for Doctor Who, teach kids about history. So it makes sense that they'd want
But
to go right down to 100,000 BC.
but they did that better in literally like like 5 stories
Yeah,
time. They did
I
it
know.
so much better. So like if I went well, if literally I think I think the Aztecs actually really doesn't help Unearthly Child
No, it doesn't.
because you see the Aztecs, which is also during that time where so they didn't want it to be educational, and you go right, yeah, but they did that well, and then you get this bollocks. Like, it's like no, it's just bad. Sorry, people are probably going to disagree with me, but I don't think Child is shit. Like, I think I'd genuinely rather watch. Well, we'll get onto it. I think Unearthly Child might be maybe my least favorite story on this list.
Interesting.
It's going to be interesting. The second Doctor I struggled with, so I'm actually going to go first. I think we'll flip it every time. So
Okay.
So I went for my favorite is the Mind Robber.
Excellent.
I went with my underappreciated is going to be the Moon Base, and my overappreciated is the Seed of Death.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
yeah, I'm scared for this.
Okay. Well, just you wait.
Okay.
Oh, do you want me? Do you want me to say mine?
Yeah.
Well, my favorite is the Seeds of Death.
Oh shit.
That's why I thought, I might as well just say it now. Underappreciated, I put the Faceless Ones.
Nice.
And then overappreciated, I'm going to probably get sick of this. I put the Web of Fear.
I wouldn't disagree with you heavily. Right. So you have to understand. Adam knows I'm not joking to say face it. I love every Troughton story. Troughton is one of my favorite eras of Who. The Seed of Death is literally my only flaw with it, and I get because I love it. I think it's definitely. I think it's slightly better than the Ice Warriors actually. But it doesn't need to be 6 parts. It doesn't. It could be 4. Like it could be 4. But yeah, I don't know. Like I swear, that's my only issue with it. I suppose we'll talk about Seed of Death first because we have different comparative. I really enjoy it. I do think it's solid. I just think it's slightly boring in parts. But you go ahead, Adam, since you're a
Should I justify my why I put Seeds of Death? Seeds of Death, right. I love it mainly. I love it as an Ice Warrior story. I think they're so good in this. They're so menacing. They've got Lord Slar in there, the Ice Lord. He's really like sinister. I think the whispery noise is quite it shows. I could imagine it sort of sending sort of shivers up the spine like back in 1969. The whole space exploration aspect, killing the world with bubble bath is great.
Yeah, no, I get
not.
I'm with you on that.
Troughton swimming in bubble bath around part 5 when he's like, oh my God. Yeah, it's got some thrills, it's got excitement, it's got the bit where the doctor's going, you can't harm me, I'm a genius. It's got some great comedic moments. It shows like the cast at their best. I think Fraser Hines, Wendy Papri, just fantastic.
Yeah, I can't really hate on it. I put it as so. I think because a lot of people, I think the last season of Troughton's very good, like top notch. Because obviously you have Invasion, which I love. I know a lot of people don't. I think it's too long, but I really enjoy it. I think just the imagery in that story kind of holds it to a high quality. I love obviously the War Games, Mind Robber. There's so many good ones in that last stretch that I think the Seed of Death for me just kind of it's not bad because like it's sort of like when you but I don't know, it's just I give it like to prove that if I was to review which I watched I give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's genuinely really solid. It's just I find it slightly dull in parts, but no, I agree with everything you said. Right. What? I've lost myself. My underappreciated. No, sorry. So yeah, no, hang on. I've lost it. So
how about you can start with your favorite?
My favorite was the Mind Robber. Right, Mind Robber. It's amazing. It's fun. It's legitimately one of the strangest Doctor Who concepts possibly, at the time since the Celestial Toymaker. Shout out Kieran. I think it's one of those things where you just get a bunch of nonsense which shouldn't work, but it does. I'm so happy I think they gave it an extra part, didn't they? Because it was only meant to be 4, and they said, right, I need to add an extra episode to this. I don't, because they took away from the Crotons, I think, or the Dominators. I can't remember which one. Either way, those are the two ones from the last season. But honestly, no, I think it's great. I think it's really good fun. I think every Doctor Who fan has this opinion. I don't think any Doctor Who fan can't look at the Mind Robber and go, yeah, that's not fun. Yeah, are you with me on that?
No, 100%. It's creative. It's innovative. When they have, Fraser Hines was ill for one of the episodes, so they got another actor in, Hamish Wilson, to do it for an episode. But they incorporate it into the story, and I think that's just like shows creative genius. It's like, all right, so an actor's ill. What do we do? And they do it in like a very organic way, and it fits with the theme of the story, the sort of fairy tale imaginative line. That just shows like pure genius. It's, as you said, it's fun. You got Rapunzel there. You've got all these
the
fictional characters.
Minotaur.
You've got the Master, technically.
Yeah, you got the Minotaur as well.
The Minotaur, yeah.
You got like a superhero thing going on. It's just it's bonkers, but I also think it's why I love the Second Doctor and sort of why I love the 11th Doctor is because they're just mad. They're crazy. You don't know what's going to happen, and it's just I'm going to use this word a lot when it comes to Kazu, but it's fun to watch. You never get bored. You're kind of like, what the fuck, but not in like a why am I what, but it's sort of like how weird can this get? How brilliant is it? I think it's just it's bar near perfect. To be honest with you, bar near perfect. Right. Do you know what? Let's just mix it up. You do your most underappreciated next.
Yeah, so my underappreciated is the Faceless Ones. So
recently released.
Recently released. I think for a lot of people, I think I quite enjoy this one. I don't think it's like a near perfect Troughton one, but I like the airport setting. It's sort of, I like where Doctor Who has this kind of pedestrianness to it. It's like the shop window mannequins, and you have the airport, which can be, in a way, airports, well, I wouldn't call them scary. They've got that kind of sort of sinister quality. There's something sinister about airports. So there's something you could like do a Doctor Who story with it. And I think with the setting, they utilize it well. The chameleon tours, like this very kind of shady sort of, suddenly taking people into space and, duplicates and stuff like that. I think it's grand. Could it be a 4-parter? Yeah, probably. But I think for what it does, also Samantha Briggs is fun. Who obviously the actress would later come back to play Queen Victoria in Tooth and Claw, which is Pauline Collins. No,
Pauline Collins.
Pauline Collins. The Pauline Collins says she's fun. So I think for that kind of story, it's got a great storyline to it, and got some great characters. I'm surprised it isn't talked about more.
I would, because I've obviously only seen this one once because it's only just come out, so I don't remember too much about it. But no, I agree with you. It could be 4 parts. I think that's probably why I didn't put it it wasn't in my mind's eye. Is it the weakest of the animations we recently had? And by that I mean the Fury and the Macra, probably, maybe. I think Macra Terror is my favorite of the animations we've had so far in terms of story. But no, I don't think it's bad. But again, no, I wouldn't say any Troughton story is bad anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it's fun. I think it's really enjoyable. I think it's great. Right, now we get to be.
No, I think I have to justify why I think Web of Fear is slightly overrated. Okay.
Because but I work backwards. So you've got to do your. I haven't done my underrated yet. So you haven't done your underrated. Oh, sorry, yeah. Obviously, we kind of had the same story, just in opposite places.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So for me, the Moonbase. I think it's underrated just in the sense of people go Tomb of Cybermen, it's incredible, which it is. I think even they go Invasion, it's incredible, which it is. But I think there's something about Troughton Cyberman stories that haven't been matched to date. And I think every single one of them has some different merit to them. I think this one's really good as well because it's sort of like the last, obviously it's not the last hurrah of Jamie, Ben and Polly, but it's sort of like they get to all take on the Cybermen. I think it's really cool. I think it's sort of, in a way, it's kind of like the 10th planet done right. If you like.
Yeah, probably actually.
And I do think it's the weaker of the Cybermen stories in Troughton's era, but I don't think it deserves. It doesn't get hate, but it sort of just gets a meh. And I don't think it deserves a meh. I think it deserves. Yeah, this is still a really solid story. And I think they tell it very well. It's Troughton's first interaction with the Cybermen, and they've sort of been updated slightly. They're not quite at their Tomb of the Cybermen, you belong to us thing, but we'll get there eventually. And I don't. I think it's just really solid. I think it's just. I think it's. I don't think anyone thinks it's bad, but I think it always kind of it's one of those forgotten ones. I think.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Moonbase is it's a cracking one, I think. Very good. It's obviously Jamie, Polly, and Ben, that TARDIS crew. I've not seen it in a while. I probably should. But the Phantom Piper, when Jamie says the Phantom Piper, and the tea as well, like the sugar in the tea. That's kind of an interesting concept. Sort of this kind of there's suddenly this virus starts taking place. Oh God, very current. So yeah, no, I think I'd say it's underappreciated. I think a lot of that season, because that's like very early Troughton, because I think when it's Victoria and Zoe, that TARDIS team, their stories, they're like the stories that you have in those eras, those later seasons rather, are the ones that kind of celebrate. But I think it's the stories where you have Jamie, Ben, and Polly in there, where there's some like gems, there's some secret hidden gems, definitely.
Yeah. So now, mate, Web of Fear, what you said?
Oh man, I think Douglas Camfield, I believe it is he directed. He directs the shit out of this one, man. Like the underground, it's very great. It's atmospheric. It's gloomy. Perfect setting. The Yetis are great. I think the mystery, while good,
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of repetitiveness, just a bit, not as much probably, but I think something where you could tighten the mystery and make it potentially like a 4, even 5-parter, which sort of, if we're talking late Trout and early Pertwee, we're fairly commonplace with like Mime Robber, Daemons. I think the Dominators is also 5-parter. So whether you could cut down an episode or a bit, maybe and then really tied up, and you'd have something like cracking really. But it's great. It was hard for Troughton really, because I was thinking Enemy of the World, no, I really like that. I was thinking Invasion, no, I really like that. War Games, even, I really like that.
Yeah, War Games, yeah. So Troughton's difficult. This way, he's the best classic Doctor, but we won't get into that. But yeah, so now we got on to Jon Pertwee, and this is where I piss some people off for sure. But you got to go first.
I go, okay, yeah. So for my favorite, I put the Daemons, and then it's not because there's a hashtag
attack the Bok. Attack the Bok.
March 6th, 3 p.m. No, I'll definitely justify, but no, it is genuinely. It's great. Underappreciated, I put Carnival of Monsters. Overappreciated. Oh well, this might surprise people. The 3 Doctors.
Okay, right. So here we go. So my favorite is Inferno. Underappreciated. This one's going to be weird, but I also put Carnival Monsters. And then overappreciated. I said this is what I thought. Was Doctor Who and the Silurians.
All right. Do you know? No. Fair enough.
So yeah. So should we leave Attack the Bok to last? Should we actually work this backwards and give you a little piece at the end of the segment? So let's do overrated first.
Okay.
All right. So you said 3 Doctors. I'm not going to go there, because I actually think it's better than the 5 Doctors, which is what. But I think as an overall story, I think it's slightly better. However, I can understand why people wouldn't think so. It's sort of weird. In a sense, there's jelly monsters. It's in a quarry most of the time. It's not very grand. Omega is a man in a paper mache head. Like, it's very weird. Benton's in it for some reason, even though he's essentially in the Jamie position, because they originally wrote Jamie into the script, and then Fraser couldn't do it. because of fucking Emmerdale, which would be a curse on him returning in Doctor Who for a long time. But yeah, just it's I would I say it's better than the Five Doctors? No, actually, thinking about it, I don't know why I said that, but yeah, I don't. It's tough because you kind of can't hate it. It's fun, but maybe that's the equivalent of the Three Doctors. Maybe that's the equivalent of the Third Doctor's era.
I think I'm sort of why I put it as overrated. I think in terms of Pertwee stories, you've got some great stuff. Obviously, when he's unit based, when he's with the Master, there's some cracking stories in there. And this one it's fun. It's like a good, decent story. But I think it does kind of come. It does come up with sort of a top 5 roughly of Pertwee's era. And I think it's not. I think it's got some good elements like antimatter thing. But yeah, I don't think it's groundbreaking. Well, it's groundbreaking in terms of multi-dog story, but aside from that, like I think.
Oh dear, Adam has just gone. I think his laptop died, so I went recording. Hello. They need to speak to the people via the whereby microphone.
Oh, I could do that, right?
Yeah.
So carry on. Three Doctors.
No, you don't need to continue with the Three Doctors. Just chat. It's fine. This is
Right.
This is staying in.
Oh, okay.
This is too funny. This is like the first time I've had a podcast. But it's also funny because the people were just seeing you reach for your laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Is your battery a bit on the brink?
It was strange because I knew it was sort of right. I was about to like plug it in, and then suddenly it then sort of decided to just shut down. It shuts down early sometimes. Does that happen with yours?
No, but mine's incredibly new, so.
And yours is a Mac, so it's.
Yeah, yeah, mine's a Mac. So, but when I'm on a PC, it would do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it would like when I'd load it up, it'd be like, oh, I'm on 7%. I'd be like, and then why the hell did you close down then, you man? But yeah, just that was.
I was way close on like 7%. I said, what are you doing? You got 7%.
Yeah, you can use it.
Yeah.
What's the point in conserving energy? What's the status of the laptop?
Okay, I'm back. In terms of like, so I'm just going to click on the link again.
It's amazing. We'll see you in a few seconds.
Linkage.
We'll see you in a few.
This part of the podcast probably won't be as long as you think it'd be in
No.
terms of like my hiatus.
It's like 3 minutes, maybe more. There we go. Right, he's on his way back. Let's see.
I'm on my way back.
I'll go your own way. Sorry. I'm not necessary. Just started singing there as well. It's almost like this isn't a podcast anymore. Where is he? So he just needs to click the link. He's not here. He's trolling me, guys. This is the podcast now. Welcome to the Thomas Podcast with me, your host, Alex Kingdom. Barry Letts, he's back. Yeah, here he is.
Here we go.
He's back. Laptop plugged in.
Yeah, laptop's plugging in. Yeah.
Why you?
Well, basically, I've ordered a new earphone because it's suddenly it's kind of decided to dismantle itself.
When did that happen?
Over the weekend, but I've ordered like skull candy, so
that's all right. Yeah, look.
It's coming tomorrow, so it'll be in time for like uni and stuff.
Amazon. Was
Amazon, that's it.
Was that
Yeah, it was
Amazon?
Amazon. Yeah, I did.
Cool. Um, actually, was about Three Doctors.
Right, yeah. I think it's fun. It's solid. It's definitely a good story, but no way would I consider it a pinnacle of Pertwee's era. I think there are Pertwee stories that are stronger, and I think there are Pertwee stories that maybe have that bit more depth. But it's fun, but no way would if I put it top 5, I don't think it really reached there.
Fair enough. Fair play. Makes sense. I'm with you. Right, I've lost myself now after all that fun. Right, so I'll do my most underrated. Right, Doctor and the Silurians. It's boring. I'm sorry, it's boring. Yeah, they came back. Big whoop. Sorry. No. I'm sorry. I'd rather watch Voice of the Deep than this, and the only reason I'd say that is because it's 3 parts shorter, and that is a flipping relief. No, sorry, it's dull. It's boring. I hate it. I'd rather watch Ambassadors of Death, and that's also boring. I hate that as well. Oh, crap.
I don't like season 7, apart from Inferno.
And Spearhead's great.
You like Spearhead.
It starts and ends brilliantly, but it's boring. 14 episodes of crap. Crap. It's awful. I'm sorry. It's bad. Tell me something good about it. No, you can't. Wow.
I think it'd be funny if we had our Pertwee connoisseur John Cook on here, because he's quite a fan of his era. So I think he'd disagree, but
definitely. I'll tell him just to listen to this part of the show for sure. But no, Silurians, it's bad. It's bad. Don't care. They came back. They were shit in that as well, and then they came back in the new series. Oh wait, that story is bad too. Great. There's nothing good about the Silurians. They're awful. I'm chewing it. Tell me a good Silurian story. Oh wait, you can't. Can you? The Sea Devils smacks
highlights of Doctor Who and the Silurians.
No, but the Sea Devils smacks it.
Sea Devils, great, yeah.
Yeah, Sea Devils is brilliant. The Silurians are not in one good Doctor Who story. I'm not even joking. They're not. The best thing that they're in is a book written by Gary Russell. And that isn't me hating on Gary Russell. Gary Russell's a great writer, but if considering that they're such an iconic villain and the best thing they've been in is a book, just saying, yeah, there's not a good Doctor Who television story that the Silurians are in. That's my unpopular opinion for today. Doctor and the Silurians is like a 2 out of 10. I don't want to watch it ever again. No, thank you. I can do a lot better with 2 hours of my time.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Sorry, not sorry. It's bad.
I think in that case, should we just both, because we both put Carnival of Monsters, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It's great. I love it. It's so weird, but it's so good. Not only for Drashig, but also just because it's the thing about Pertwee's era, which is the common kind of criticism, is that it's long. Every story is 6-7 parts. This is a story that just works from start to finish. It's entertaining. You can't even hear what I'm saying now, so I could just say what I want.
Now I can.
I could have said it, but no, it's just fun, isn't it? I think that's the main thing. It's just really it's fun. Drashig is a big meme, but we all love Drashig, and if you don't love Drashig, you're wrong. And I don't normally say that about opinions, but if you don't love a thing like Drashig, then you have no heart, to be honest with you. But yeah, no.
I think. Yeah, but I believe this is a Robert Holmes one. So again,
Bob
he
Holmes,
writes it. Yeah. The mini scope, these kind of 2 intergalactic showmen going around with their mini scope saying, "We've got a bunch of monsters, including the one time the Cybermen appear in the John Pertwee era," and stuff like that. Drashig's again fantastic, a great hand puppet, and as you said, a fantastic meme. It's my first Pertwee, which is strange because you would think I think for a lot of people, a quintessential Pertwee, what does it have? Usually, it's an Earth invasion. Usually, it features UNIT. Usually, it features Roger Delgado's Master. But this one's not so much. And I suppose that's, same with the 3 Doctors as well. And obviously, season 10 maybe sort of, because at the end of the 3 Doctors, he got his dematerialization circuit again.
I'm trying to think what my first Pertwee is. Adam, can you do a quick Google in the background? Was there any Pertwee stories in the Revisitations box sets? Because those ones I got.
Carnival of Monsters, I think.
Then it would have been that.
Yeah, same. So we have the same first third Doctor story.
But no, yeah, I think as well, it's kind of the best thing about a Doctor companion relationship is when they're in like the middle of their run. Which this is like the quintessential Pertwee and Joe story as well. They're just having an adventure. There's not a real big scope to it. They're just kind of enjoying themselves. It's a lot of fun. Which I think it's kind of the big thing with these underappreciated ones. Maybe they're not the best stories, but they're entertaining, and I think people forget that. So yeah, no, I'd agree with you, mate, on almost every level. I think it's just really fun, really, really quirky. So very different to your regular, like you said, very different to your regular Pertwee story, which I'm not saying is a good thing, because I think Pertwee has actually got a very good era. Story's just too bloody long. But yeah, I think this is really fun, really different, and it works well. Right, and then so our favourites. I'll go first because you've got a bit of promotion to do.
Yes.
So Inferno. I said that Silurians and Ambassadors are boring because of 7 parts. This is the opposite. It's 7 parts of brilliance. Somehow it works. I don't understand how, but they made it work. I don't know who wrote it, but whoever did, amazing. Legitimately, this is like a modern story, but they did it in the 70s. I don't understand how they managed it. This is something you'd see in Mon Who. The Doctor goes into an alternate universe and a different timeline. It's incredible. But it's so well realized. Like, it's so serious. It's not hokey. It's not jokey. It works. The brigade leader was one of the most awful people you could ever meet in your life. And considering you think of the brigadier, who's although he's a very he's got a hard show, he's a very sweet man and very wants to do well. And you have the brigade leader who's like the opposite, and it's like Pertwee trying to convince all these people that what they're going to do, what this thing they're doing is going to end the world. But it's perfect. There's so much stake. It's just so good. It's you can't really top it for me in the Pertwee era. I think to turn these characters that we bet across the first season of his era against him and just flip the book perfectly is really fun. It's never dull, which is something you never say about a 7-part story, but it's never dull. It's truly entertaining. There's always a twist, there's a turn. It's just, it's chef's kiss. It's like a 10 out of 10 for me, mate. It's one of the best Doctor Who stories ever written, I think. And I think Pertwee, there's some sort of, you can tell Pertwee's like, this is ridiculous, but he's totally in this one doing his best performance. I think one of his best performances ever. He's fully behind the story, and I think it works perfectly.
Absolutely agree. Yeah. I think it's hard to say. I think it's hard to say whether Spearhead or Inferno is the strongest, but they both come out on top, to be honest, in terms of the strongest in that season. You got the first appearance, Doctor Who Whoviverse appearance rather, of Christopher Benjamin, who plays Sir Keith. That's cool. Before he's, of course, famously played Jago in the Talons of Weng-Chiang, and then again he pop up in Unicorn and the Wasp. They're drilling down to the surface of the Earth, and there's a great intensity. Pertwee's got that intensity. He's like, "What are you doing? Stop!" And he's the fact he's thrown into some kind of universe, the fact that Nicholas Courtney, used to playing sort of the Brigadier, who, yes, as you said, had that hardened exterior, but it is also a man who is loyal to the Doctor and very much is fully behind the Doctor all the way, like a loyal sort of mate. And then obviously to have that kind of 180 really in the story, and he does it so brilliantly and effortlessly. And the fact, obviously, he's played it. You do have scenes where you have the Brigadier, and then you do have the brigade leader, and the fact that I think it's props to Nicholas Courtney for doing that, and I think the story's on fire. So I agree.
Right, here we go. The Damon's time.
Right, cool.
Right, just say what you want to say first, and then do your plug after.
Oh yeah. I was going to do that. But Damon's mixes the science and the supernatural. I really like that. You've got a gargoyle that comes to life in the form of Bok. You've got the last living Damon, this horning beast that the Master calls upon, and together they possibly go to, take over, and it's going to be marvelous. And then you've got Damaris Heyman as Miss Hawthorne, this witch.
Of Hawthorne Wipes. No.
The Hawthorne Wipes. Yes, yes, that's who Piers Hawthorne is related to. Piers Hawthorne is a witch confirmed. So yeah, no, it's great. It's got the quintessential Pertwee. You've got great discussions about science and magic, and long lost beings, but you've got some great action, some great chase moments, some great lines. You've got reverse the polarity in there. You've got Osgood before Osgood became more of a regular occurrence. Not the same Osgood, but the name, I suppose, rather. We associate Osgood with a different person, not Ingrid Oliver, but we love both all the same. It's a 5-parter, which is a rare instance in terms of the Pertwee era.
Yep.
But I think it's great because it's like it doesn't feel like the 4-parters rushed, it's rushed through. I think the 5-parter actually it's almost going to bang on for this story because there's a lot more detail and kind of richness in terms of the themes and everything that's going on, that I think maybe doing a 4-parter, you there's some stuff that you could argue that there's stuff you brush over, but with 5-parter, things breathe, things feel great. The team is at their best, really. I think the unit team, and Delgado's Master's got menaced, and because he's Mr. Magister as well, he's sort of Magister, he's keeping on that front where you have that very calm, collected nature, and that's what I love about Delgado. He can have this calm demeanor, meaning that you feel like he's in control instead of more of this kind of Joker performance you sort of get in later Masters. And that kind of evilness as well.
Yeah,
it's terrific.
No, I'd agree. I think it's probably some of the best location work.
Definitely.
Before
it's a pilgrimage. Just like Doctor Who fans will converge like to that location. It's one of the most renowned in Doctor Who's history.
Yeah, I think it's stunning. I think my only criticism with it is at this point, especially within season 8, this is like this is like the time where Delgado popping up as a surprise sort of is like wah. It's like, who knew? But no, that's like a minor nitpick within the context of the story they were telling. But apart from that, no, I think it is superb. I think it's one of the only times where Pertwee's era does sort of deal with the supernatural elements, which is kind of cool because he's more very kick-ass science-based more than look at this supernatural thing. But no, this was really good. I think Joe's great. I think it's possibly some of the best location work in Classic Who. There's just so much to like. I think, as you said, 5 parts. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I think if it was 6, it won't be as loved as it was. But no, I think 5. I think it is top notched.
You got 5 rounds rapid. You also got Pertwee having a remote for Bessie, which I think that it's sort of a joke that he sort of does it at the beginning, and then it sort of comes back. He sort of comes back every now and again. And Pertwee pretending to be the great Kui-Kai God, like a god was like, all right, that lamp must shatter, and that cockerel will spin on the jet. There's some
it's definitely some good stuff. Right?
Ends in a dance, which all good Doctor Who stories, it ends in a dance.
Everything is going to end in a dance sequence, such as Scooby-Doo 2 and other things.
Yes.
But yeah, right now this one I'm scared about because you're a big Tom Baker stan, so I'm worried for this.
Okay. Before we go to Tom Baker, attack the Bok. Saturday, 6th of March, 3 p.m. GMT, we're doing a watch along to the infamous Damon story, of course, celebrating the upcoming season 8 box set. And generally, it's probably it's my favorite Pertwee story. So I kind of wanted to do it. I was probably going to do it anyway at some point, but the fact that season 8's coming out, the fact we get to celebrate this, because obviously we can't beat the BFI, and every season should be celebrated because we've had the last box set came out was 14, and there was a BFI for that before everything went kaput. So we're going to do things virtually now.
It's weird to think it's amazing and sad at the same time. But I mean, sad as in not as in like, oh, how sad you're doing a virtual watch. I mean, just can't do it in real life. It's sad, isn't it? It's weird to think though. It's been like almost a year, in fact, over a year almost since that BFI event, and then the box set coming out in April. It's weird to think it's been like 10 months, so going on 11 months, but since the box set, go do that. You've been gift making. Go do the watch along. Twitter, Attack the Bok. Also a nice riff on a brilliant film that's also underrated, Attack the Block. So yeah, go watch it. It's gonna be good fun. Alan's made a bunch of gifts. You'll love it. Perfection. Right, I'm scared for this. I'm scared for 4th Doctor. I'm scared.
So I'm to go first.
I think I'm to go first this time, right?
You need to go first. Right, gotcha.
So I kind of cheated for this one. My favorite Tom. I've got. I couldn't choose. So because look, I think Genesis is the best, but I didn't go with Genesis as my favorite. I went with Robots of Death as my favorite Tom. Most underappreciated. This is going to sound weird, but I went with Android Invasion, and then the most overappreciated. I mixed between the two, so I have chosen 2. I've gone with City of Death, and I've gone with Ark in Space. I couldn't choose between the two.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Should I list mine?
Yeah.
Favorite, as it's no surprise to anybody on the planet, is Pyramids of Mars.
Yep.
I could rave about a story every day of the week. I really could.
Yep.
Underappreciated, I went Mask of Mandragora.
Yep.
And then overappreciated, I went Horror of Fang Rock.
Blasphemy. All right.
I know.
Right. So I actually think Horror of Fang Rock is Tom Baker's last good story in his entire era. But we won't get into. I know that sounds horrible because he's got 3 more series, but Christ on a bike. Stones of Blood, actually, that's all right. But right, should I go for my underappreciated? I couldn't choose between 2 because these are 2 stories I just don't understand the hype. Ark in Space is loved for God knows why. I like it's not bad, but it's so dull. And also, surprisingly, it's a lot better when it's being minimalistic. I think I really love the bubble wrap stuff, which sounds strange, but you know what I mean in context. I really like it when, like, you know, it's like there's this green hand and the character's slowly morphing, but it turns into the women, and the prop's massive, so they can barely move it. It just sort of loses its spark, and the voice changes, and it's all a bit. But it's not a bad story. The City of Death is something that I just don't like.
Okay.
Do you know what? And I'm going to say this now. I think it's style over substance.
Okay.
I think it's fine, but I think at this point, obviously, it's Douglas Adams, who's one of the best sci-fi writers of all time. You cannot deny that. I don't know what it is about it. Do you know one of those things when you hear something's really good, and so you have it in your mind's eye of, okay, this has got to be incredible, and you watch it and you go, because of the hype, and I had it in my mind as it being like this golden thing, that it just didn't.
Right.
I think that's what it was. Because everyone, they went to Paris, they had John Cleese in it, which they do, and you know, the Mona Lisa, it's all about art, you know, it's a fake. It's just, I don't know, it's not bad, because we're not saying these stories like, unlike you know, I don't think either of the stories are just as bad, because we're not choosing bad stories, we're choosing the ones that are most overappreciated. Like, it's very solid, but when people go, this is like one of the best classics of all time, I don't know what it is, man. I don't have it there. I think it's solid. But I think maybe it was the hype.
Right.
Do you know what I mean by that? Have you ever had that when someone says, "Oh, this is really good," and then you watch it and you go, because you had it in such high esteem, you watched it and you gotta go. I kind of maybe
I'm trying to think of a Doctor Who instance, really,
or just any instance in life, or like film, or
Gladiator. I think probably.
Yeah.
It's probably an instance for me, but other than that, I can't. There's not like many that like come right to the top of my head, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Adam. Sorry, Adam's like a massive Tom Baker stan, so I'm sorry to be poo. But yeah,
I really like both.
I know you would. I know you would. Yeah. Sorry. That's what opinions are beautiful for.
They are.
But yeah. So you're most underappreciated. It's kind of weird that you're most underappreciated. I disagree with.
Well, Mask of Mandragora, right?
No, overappreciated. Sorry.
Oh, overappreciated. Oh, should I Horror of Fang Rock? Horror of Fang Rock. Okay.
I really like this one. Like, it's in my top 5 toms.
It's good.
It's in my top 5 toms.
It's very good. Terrence Sticks wrote the script. It's witty. It's fun. I like, obviously, set in the lighthouse. It's quite. You've got that one setting, makes things a bit more claustrophobic. There are some. I think what probably lets us down is the side cast in the story. There's that. There's a lot of complaining. There's a lot of whining. There's a lot of. It's hard really to sort of, because when you think about Rubbish to Death, which is your favorite, you've got this incredible supporting cast. You've got people who are very proactive and people who are very, and even Toos. You got the kind of dickheads in that story, but you also have the more sort of proactive ones in that as well.
Exactly.
But I think Horror of Fang Rock, they're mostly dickheads, to be honest. I was like, well, you know, they kind of had their fate coming, really. And the Rutan, I think in design, I get it. They want to go for a blob. I suppose in execution, it wasn't handled the best, but it does have its kind of a few inconveniences, I would say, but I still think in terms of the story, it's good, but there are some sort of executions and sort of the production, like the casting, everything, that might almost kind of slightly let it down.
So this is sort of what I think of Ark in Space. In the sense of like
Right.
I think it's a solid story, but like some production size let it down, some actors like so this, we kind of think have the same complaints, just our different stories.
Mm.
Because I mean, yeah, no, I really like Horror Fan Rock. I think it's gothic. I think it's kind of eerie. I think kind of Tom Baker's era loses that kind of style that it has after the story, because it's a holdover from the Hinchcliffe era.
Yeah.
And then we go into Invisible Enemy, and it's just
yeah, it's a bit,
yeah, it's the start of a rocky road with only a few hills. But yeah, no, I really like this. I understand why you got a point. I don't know. It's just enjoyable for me. I watched this on the Horror Channel. I think it's one of the remember when they did that, like maybe a few years back. There was a Horror Channel. They just showed Classic Who.
Yeah.
That was this one of those I watched on there. I really enjoyed it.
I was thinking a lot of well-regarded Tom Baker stories, and I think Horror Fan Rock was probably the closest to what I think would probably be an overrated one for me, because like I wouldn't say Talons is, and I wouldn't say Genesis is, and I wouldn't obviously you disagree, but I wouldn't even say City of Death is, and Ark in Space. So yeah. Horror was kind of closer to me, I think.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm just evil. But yeah, so right, I do appreciate it. This one you might disagree with. I went with Android Invasion because I just think it's fun, which is I agree. Which is a very similar theme to all these underappreciated ones. Is they might not be the most grand stories in the world, but they're great. They're just nice little pieces of Who you could stick on a Sunday afternoon. And just enjoy. And I think it's awesome. I think people don't like this one as much because obviously it's missing the Brigadier, and it's a unit story, and obviously we don't get much of the Brigadier in Tom Baker's era anymore. So that opportunity is going to have that relatability, but he's just not in it. I think Nick Courtney was busy. I think Kieran told me a story at the time of like Nick being in Doctor Who kind of started to typecast him, and he was sort of wondering, well, am I in Doctor Who? Am I not in Doctor Who? Like what's going on? Because they kind of just dropped him, because obviously they went to like the sci-fi. He was kind of a bit angry that they kind of went, oh, why am I can't keep going in once every now and then because people think I'm linked with Doctor Who, even though I'm not. So that's why I didn't come back. Also, we get Harry, which is nice. I like Harry. I wish he might have did more seasons. But yeah. I think it's just fun. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's quirky. I like the whole Android stuff. We also did that iconic image of Sarah Jane's face falling off. So it's got some really cool imagery in there. I think it's just really fun.
I agree. Yeah, no, it's quirky. It's one of Terry Nation's few non-Dalek stories as well. I think that and Keys and Marinus, I think they are the only couple that aren't Dalek stories that are written by him, which was really cool. I like the setting. It's very I think it works with particularly the story with like this kind of sort of peopleless, if that ever makes sense, sort of peopleless kind of environment, and then people are like, wait, where's everybody?
It's also very similar to sort of Invasion of Dinosaurs, where like it's quite eerie in part one. What's going on? Now watched Invasion of Dinosaurs very recently.
It's got an innocence to it as well. It's a bit like this kind of innocent city. It's very quiet, and you're like, Jesus, this is like too innocent. This is like, hang on.
Yeah, what the hell's going on?
July 6th is National Ginger Beer Day, because when the doctor pulls the calendar, the day is like the day-to-day one. He pulls it, and it's the same day. Like, oh my god! And then ginger beer, love it.
I hate ginger beer.
I think that's what I love about that story, because even when the doctor opposite to Sarah, she's like, "Oh, I can't stand this stuff." So I think it's sort of like a very sort of polarizing like drink. It's like, I'm gonna like it.
Do you like it?
I like alcoholic ginger beer.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But do you like regular just ginger beer?
I think I'm more the alcoholic ginger beer than just the sort of more soda kind.
It's like people that go, I like alcoholic, I like non-alcoholic beer. It's like, what's the point? So just drink soda or whatever. But yeah, no, because if I remember right, because it is a unit story. John Levine's in this one, isn't he? But it's just not the Brigadier.
Yes, yeah. Benton's in it, and no Yates either.
Yeah,
In
'cause,
fact,
well,
Yates'
Yates
last
got
appearance was
Yates.
with Pertwee.
Well, yeah, Yates got dropped because he turned mad and evil, and then came good at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there you go. It's just fun. I can't. It's not going to blow you. What you're not going to blow your mind, but it's good fun. What you said,
Absolutely.
Mask of Mandragora. It's just better not be
Yeah.
because of them in Sandwich.
No. It's okay. I think with season 14 is a hard one because it's full of very popular stories. Deadly Assassin, Robots of Death, Talents of Wing Chiang. And I think even Face of Evil is like, I actually, even now I'm thinking about it, maybe I should have gone Face of Evil, but I went with Mask because I think it's a lot where not many people really like this one. I think probably they might find it the weakest in the season, and there are some. It's strange. I think some people don't like the act. I think I quite like the cast in it. I quite like Giuliano. I quite like the uncle is so like evil. He's really brilliantly performed. The actor who played Giuliano, the uncle, was great. I really like the setting. The fact that Port Meriam, Wales, was used for Italy works really well. Got some. There's a bit of fun. I think you can have a bit of fun with the setting and the whole cult thing. I quite enjoy it. I think it's a solid season opener. Nothing like amazing, no, and
Yeah,
it's not necessarily the strongest in that season, but I don't necessarily think it's that weak either.
I think like you said, the issue is it's surrounded by like massive hitters. Like
Mm.
just gonna get swept under the rug. The best I can sort of equate it to, I suppose, for me. I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything because I didn't choose this, but sort of like a Gridlock in series 3 of Monhu. It's a
Yeah.
very, very solid story, but gonna get swept under the rug because it's in the same series as Human Nature, Blink, the 3-part at the end.
Mm.
It gets swept under the rug in that sense.
Yeah.
I think that's why. No, I'd agree. Because the Basque Dragula is what I watched again on the horror channel. Yes, it's not blow your socks off, but it's solid. Who you'll watch it, you'll go. Do you know what? I didn't waste my time. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I smiled, and yeah.
Mm.
Right, this is the difficult one because this is what do we just go? Both these stories are very good, almost perfection, and move on. Because
We could do.
yeah, you can't like Pyramids of Mars. Me and Adam have talked about, and I've already talked about Robots of Death. All I'll say is that these stories are damn near perfect, both of them. Yeah, I think like you said, it's got both stories. I think are very similar in the aspects of their great side cast. They're scary at parts. They're funny at others. It's got a real heart to it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, anything you want to add to that on both ends?
Yeah, so for Pyramids for me, what's my favorite? It's Doctor Who Distilled for me. It's got the Doctor is absolutely on point. The whole you definitely get the sense of how alien he is, not only in the beginning scene with Sarah and the TARDIS, but then, when people are dying, he's sort of not as mournful as Sarah. And I think that I find that quite a powerful dynamic. And Sarah is so proactive with the rifle, everything like that. So that team, like that duo, I think it cements them two as my favorite Doctor companion dynamic because they work so well in the story and they both serve their part excellently. The villains are great. Sutekh, fantastic villain with a great voice. Even Bernard Archard, playing Marcus Scarman, is sinister as well. Egyptian Mummy, so you got that kind of gothic elements mixed with a bit of sci-fi in there as well. I think I just genuinely think it's brilliantly told, superbly paced, great story, love it. Robots of Death, you got a mix there. You got like this Agatha Christie murder mystery style story set on like a sand miner, and it's cool. Yes, I'll say that the costumes in that story, they're a bit over the top because you still look at the costumes and you kind of like, is that, how practical are they? But fun. It's cool. It's got this kind of sort of classiness to it. I don't know what I mean by that, but like it's got this kind of very just this kind of sinister kind of very takes its time, but also just really packs a punch at the same time. Please do not throw hands at me. The robots are just generally iconic. So it's basically what's great about a story. You've got a great villain, you've got a great setting, you've got a superbly paced story. I think that's what makes both of them great. The story's fantastic, the cast are generally on point, and the production's generally also great as well. It's got everything. It ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. Yeah, just yeah. when Tom
And I could
Baker's
gush about that.
when Tom Baker's era is good, it's like there's a reason he's the most iconic Doctor. I think those Hinchcliffe seasons prove why. Unfortunately,
I can gush literally about the scene where the Doctor takes Sarah to an alternative 1980 because it's sort of one of the first times where suddenly they're looking into alternative time. It's like, this is what's going to happen.
Almost,
like, we got to do this.
Almost similar to the Aztecs again.
Yeah.
Except the Pyramids of Moses takes that a step further, obviously, with visualizing what events would be like. But yeah, I think the issue for me, obviously, I know it's because I'm weird, but I think Tom Baker's after Hinchcliffe goes, Tom Baker's seasons just become
in some stories you can. It's very much a pick and choose thing. I think consistently he's great, and
I always think he's fantastic, very similar to Colin Baker in his era. I think Colin Baker's always giving a great performance, but stories slow him down.
And I think like the fourth Doctor you see in season 12 is so different to the fourth Doctor you see in season 18. There's almost this kind of like maturity like in season 18 Doctor. I don't know what it is about it, but there's very much he's sort of a worn kind of, he's an Edwardian traveler. He's seen stuff, he's been through a lot, losses and battles and everything like that. Usually strides with this kind of confidence, but also there's like that foreboding element in season 18 as well, which I think just like I think it's cool.
Understandable. Right. Peter Davison. We're not even halfway through. This is going to be a long podcast, guys. Hopefully you're strapped in for the long run. Peter Davison time. Right. This one's you first.
All right, cool. So my favorite, it's kind of another obvious one, but Caves of Androzani, top-notch regeneration story. Underappreciated, I put The Awakening. That's a bit of fun. And then overappreciated, I put Kinder.
Yes, we agree on two of them. Yes.
Right, which ones do we agree on?
Caves is top notch and Kinder is shit. Right, and then I put Visitation.
Underappreciated. Yeah.
So this could be quite quick actually. Okay, Caves of let's go with Kinder. Kinder is bollocks. I think Adam knows this because I did a review like maybe a year back. No, it could have been that long because we were in lockdown. But I did a review for the Big Blue Box podcast as an audience reviewer, where I literally tore the story to shreds because it's shit. It's one of the worst things in the world. It's worse than Doctor and the Silurians, and that's bad.
There you go.
Kinder can get burnt. Like if I could bring back Marco Polo and we lose Kinder, I'm cool with that. Do you know what? I'd rather watch Class than I would Kinder.
Oh, okay.
And I mean that legitimately, because you know what? I don't know, man. Kinder is just blech. It's sort of Doctor Who being weird, and I know a lot of people can appreciate it for that, but this is where I go, I don't need this in my life. Like, I don't need. I'd rather watch Force of Doomsday, and that's not.
Oh, okay. No, I wouldn't go that far.
No,
I wouldn't go that far.
I honestly would. Kinder is the worst Fifth Doctor story, and it's one of the worst things to come. No.
I wouldn't go as far as
I know you wouldn't.
I can see what it's going for. It's fairly bold. It's kind of weird in a kind of intriguing way in terms of what's really going on. So, but I kind of think maybe it's one of those stories. I think it's almost like an acquired taste, particularly I'll choose more.
Oh no, hang on. He's back. Oh, we lost you.
Oh, right.
Lost you. There you go.
It's basically what I'm saying. It's like I think it's almost an acquired taste for this one because if I was to compare Modern Seven, like some people like understand the themes and people get it, but some people a bit like this is not really for me. I get what it's going for, but for a Doctor story, it's not kind of like my thing. And I kind of find that with Kinder, like I understand its ambition and I understand sort of, and there are some creeping moments to it. It's quite psychedelic. But I don't necessarily would say, oh my God, this is like, an underappreciated or like, a classic at the same time, really. So, good performances. Unfortunately, Nyssa gets the short straw in this one as she's fallen ill, which happens at the end of the previous story, Fourth to Doomsday. And I would say that is the weakest story of season 19, Fourth to Doomsday. But yeah, I do and don't get the hype for Kinder.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're very much more central than I am. I think this is where it comes to being a podcaster and just being rather really picky. But no, Kinder is trash. Um. Um. Sorry. But hey, opinions are why I made this podcast. Um. If you like Kinder, good for you. I'll just go and I'll just I'll just rather yeah no thanks. Um. But yeah, no, Keizo Jazani. Let's talk about that as well. I think
Mm,
possibly the best regeneration story of all time. Like it's
yes.
in terms of story quality. Because me, I think I was talking to Kieran, our good friend Kieran the other day. Not a lot of regeneration stories are actually that good.
Mm,
If you think about it, not many of them are like you got the war games, which is like top quality. Planet of the Spiders is acquired taste. Logopolis is all right. Caves is great. Time of the Rani, acquired taste. Movie, acquired taste. Parting of the Ways, that's really good.
I
End
like
of
that one.
End of Time. Uh, Time of the Doctor, I like it, but it's not very good.
Mm,
Uh, Twice Upon a Time. Oh, then we don't know what Judy's gonna have, but yeah, but no,
yeah,
this is legitimately one of the best stories ever, and it sends Davison's Doctor off in the best way. And
definitely.
I think Sharon's Jack is possibly one of their best villains of Classic Who, up there with the Mighty Sutek. And things like that. I think he's creepy. I think he's brilliant. Was he originally going to be played by Bowie, or wasn't that like one of the
Yeah,
plans?
that was I think, but Bowie was on tour, I think, and he would have been fantastic.
Because
Absolutely.
he was up for it as well, wasn't he? He was generally
Mm,
like part of like the plan to get Bowie. Peter Davison face on against David Bowie, like Christ.
it would be brilliant.
It'd be brilliant. It was the crossover we all needed. But I think as well, I think part of its strength is that we haven't really got a lot of we've had no time with the Doctor and Perry, the fifth Doctor and Perry together, but yet there's still that connection there. I think it's brilliant. I think that it shows the best qualities of the fifth Doctor's caring side. I think the fifth Doctor's actually very underrated. I really like Peter Davison. It's quite a quiet performance compared to its quirkier counterparts, I suppose, but I really like it. Yeah, no, I think it's perfect. I think it's, but I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's the perfect regeneration story because I don't think a
Mm,
regeneration story can be perfect. I think that because it's having to bookend a bunch of stuff, I think there's so much
mm.
for it to do that it can't be a perfect story in and of itself. But I think it's almost the best a regeneration story can get.
I think it throws Perry, because this is her first adventure, following Planet of Fire. It throws her into the deep end. It really does. This harsh world. They almost get shot. There's just a lot of, not generally nasty people around them who aren't, you know, that's the thing. That's what I love about it. It's and then Davison crashing the spaceship. You're not going to stop me now. And yeah, as you said, showing his kind of caring and passionate side. That at the end of the day, his main goal is to save Perry and get her out. Really, and it's not easy. It's not made easy for him. He's getting gunned down, running through the yeah. It's epic, and it gives a very heroic death, followed by many voices from the past as he's regenerating into Colin Baker.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd agree with everything on that. Right, so we've talked about Kinder, we've talked about
Hmm.
so now we need to talk about The Awakening, which I haven't seen. So I'll let
Right.
I'll let you speak about that, and then we'll talk about The Visitation, which we've both seen.
Yeah, I watched this one. I think probably like the first time last year, and it's a solid. It's a two-parter. It's one of the two-parters, and it's sort of you know people are reenacting sort of moments from the English Civil War. They're kind of knowing what's going on. Then there's the Malice who comes into it, and is basically this massive kind of face on the wall, this kind of psychic kind of creature. And I think it's almost feeding off the fact that he's helping them to somehow reenact the kind of English Civil War. It's got like a cool storyline, quite a creative one. It's a fun like story. It's two parts. I don't know. I think it's one that I don't think. I think it's in a strange place really, because season 21, you you start bad and you also end bad with like Twin Dilemma, Warriors of the Deep and Twin Dilemma. I mean, you have some like decent stuff in between. Like Francios is okay, Resurrection of the Daleks pretty decent, as is Planet of Fire, as the Awakening. Case of Jazani is fantastic. So it's in a very awkward place in terms of its placement in the series, but it's a fun kind of breather, really, because things can get, like things like Resurrection of the Daleks. A lot of the characters die in that. Case of Jazani is quite nihilistic. And this one, I think, is quite a nice breather in what's otherwise a very... And also Warriors of the Deep is quite bleak as well. Like most of the stories in that season are fairly bleak, and this one's sort of the least bleak. So it's a nice bit of relief in amongst the madness, basically. The Awakening.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, for me, Visitation is very similar to the Aztecs, not in terms of the actual story that they're telling, but in terms of quality. I think it's another quintessential historical with that, but this time it's a bit more taking liberties, obviously, with the pterodactyls, which obviously weren't the thing. But I also think it's kind of smart. I forget his name, but I love the character. I love the little side character they meet. Who's very I forget his name. What is his name? Do you know? The man. I forget his name.
I know who you mean.
Yeah. He's very cool. It gets rid of the Sonic Screwdriver, which please do it in today's series, please. Can you give Jodie something else to wear that you can make much of? Or
Richard
whatever?
Mace.
Mace. Gotta love Mace. Yeah, I think he's really fun. This has my least favorite Adric moment where he falls over for no fucking reason and then tells Tegan to sit her ass down because she's a woman. And every time people say they like Adric, I go, he deserved to die.
He's a big meme.
Big meme, Adric. But no, yeah, I think it's really good. I think the pterodactyls are cool. I think they're actually quite menacing. I think they look nice. I like the fact that they went for I love the design of the one that's injured. I think that's really cool. I like the plan. The plan's quite grand. And I like the fact that you aren't really aware of what this story is actually linked to until the very end with the Great Fire of London. I think that's really kind of cool twist at the very end. So yeah, I think it's a solid Who. Unfortunately, Nyssa gets nothing to do, but then again, that's kind of what Nyssa does in Doctor Who, unfortunately. Because I think she's not in Kinder. Is she not in Kinder either, is she?
Yeah, Nyssa's not in Kinder, no.
No, so she's not in this. She's in the TARDIS most of this one, and she's not in Kinder very much either. So
I mean, even in Earthshock, like she's in the TARDIS.
Yeah, poor Nyssa. Josh Snares is raging. But yeah, just it's fun. It's solid Who. It's like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
agreed?
Agree. Absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Right, it is the tricky one. The Sixth Doctor era. Haha. Right. That's me first, isn't it?
Yeah.
My favourite, I went 2 Doctors.
Okay.
Underappreciated, I want to get this right. Something of the Daleks. I keep getting
Revelation.
It wrong. Revelation of the Daleks. And overrated, I went Mind Warp, which I know is going to upset
Interesting.
you. I know it's going to upset you.
Interesting. Because my favorite is Mind Warp. It's the same as like the second Doctor one, where you're overrated was somehow my favorite. Underappreciated, I went The Ultimate Foe.
Nice.
And then overappreciated, I went Vengeance on Varos.
Yep. Okay. I agree with you on the overappreciated side as well. Right. Mind Warp. I went Mind Warp because I think it's the syndrome of it's the best of a bad bunch, and therefore people like it more. I think the entirety of Time Lord is tripe. Like not bad, but I think it's boring. I think the best scenes are in the courtroom, which I think I actually agreed with Gary from the Blue Box podcast. I remember when they reviewed this in a bunch. I can't remember what they said. I think he agreed that everything in the courtroom is pretty cool, and then virtually it just loses out. I think Sill's great. I love Nabil, my boy Nabil. He's always doing a good job, but yeah, it's just it's we kind of both shat on the 2 Sill stories, but I do think Sill is actually the best part of both of those things. I think Sill's rather fun. I think he's a great character. Just unfortunately, what's around him isn't great. Brian Blessed is obviously in it, and that's something to marvel at, I suppose. But take those 2 things out of the story. What have you got? You've got Perry's exit, which is kind of undercooked, and then retconned. Yeah, it's fine, but it's just not like everyone goes, this is a good Tom, this is a good Colin. And it's like, compared to what? Time Lash?
Yeah.
Compared to Attack of the Cybermen? Yeah, of course it is, but they're like awful. so like I think it's fine. I think it's like 5, 6 out of 10. But I just when people go, yeah, that's the good one, I go, well, yeah, but it would be compared to what you got around it. Fair voids.
Mm.
Obviously, I can't really hate on the Ultimate Foe because obviously the writing and Bob Holmes things like that. So I don't want to put that there. But yeah, this time I think Mind Warp is considered better because of what's around it.
Yeah, I think I like Mind Warp because it's probably the darkest of the stories. I love Colin in the story, like him playing. You never quite sure, sort of, if he's sort of putting up a front or whether his mind really did get warped. I think
Who knows?
It's Colin that's probably had his most complex performance in terms of his TV run. Absolutely. Christopher Ryan as Lord Kiv is really cool. He's generally like a great actor, and obviously came back to play General Stahl in the Sontaran two-part in the 10th Doctor era. So again, great. Nicola Brine is, it's almost like it's almost like goes back to Kate Understani. It's a very nihilistic. It's a place where she just it's the last place she wants to be. It's the last sort of situation, and you really feel for her. You feel that kind of anxiety that she's feeling as she's tied up under the rocks, and she is going through that mind warp process. It's quite those last kind of climactic moments are tragic. There's a mix of tragedy, nihilism, and general just like, well, it kind of makes you go, oh my god! It's one where it's the most emotionally kind of complex and daring, definitely. So Mind Warp the best.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'd understand that. I get it. Yeah, as I say, for me, I went 2 doctors. I'm going to use one word here, and I'm going to say nothing else. Troughton. I don't care for the
Makes
rest of
everything better.
I don't care for the rest of the story. If I'm honest, if he wasn't there, it'd be awful. And you know what? Reese is right, because Reese is his least favorite Colin story. And as a story, you're probably right. But Troughton, he's in it.
That's the thing. You know what I mean?
I sound horrible because I don't dislike Colin Baker as a Doctor. I honestly don't. The stories let him down, though. This is probably the bleakest classic Who is in terms of quality of writing. I do feel he got let down because I think his Doctor is very good in a lot of senses. I think he's got a great Doctor. I actually like his relationship with Perry, especially more in Trial of a Time Lord. That is something they improved on. But I think when you say that one of his best stories, or he cited one of his best stories, is because another Doctor's in it, that's got to suck. I mean, it's just what do you say? Twin Dilemma, is that good? No. Attack of the Cybermen, no. What else have you got? Oh god, like the Dalek one's good, I suppose, but it's just, oh man, I feel bad. Like it's not an era I want to go back to. You know what I mean? But yeah, the 2 Doctors is fine. I feel like there is some really good moments. I will talk without just joking and saying Troughton. I do like it whenever the 2nd Doctor and 6th Doctor interact. I think that's really cool. Like the whole snap scene, I think that's cool. I think Jamie hanging out with the 6th Doctor is fun. I think again Perry interacting with Jamie interacting with Perry is really cool as well. For the interaction, we get a nice the 2nd Doctor's eyebrows are really cool. Becoming whatever they're called, those things.
Androgums, yeah.
The Androgum! I love how he says Androgum as well. I think that's hilarious. Obviously, they had to change the location for some reason. I think it was budgetary. So in the original writing, I think this is Rob Holmes' possibly worst script, but they're going to probably haven't seen all of Rob Holmes' scripts. But yeah, this isn't a great script, but it's fun. It's too long though.
There's a meme with water spilling. So the water spilling's Doctor Who, and then the plaster over it is Patrick Troughton for you. You say, what makes a Doctor Who story good? Patrick Troughton. Put the plaster over it. There we go.
Yeah, if he's in it, it's good. Yeah. I suppose that's true with Tom Baker, though, right? If Tom Baker was to pop up in anything.
Yeah, that's probably true.
He'd probably go, well, at least add Tom Baker in it, and therefore it can.
Well, I suppose more for you, Matt Smith as well.
I suppose if it's modern Who, Matt Smith. If it's classic Who, Patrick Troughton.
Yeah.
Right. So you said where
should I go for my overrated? Because obviously you went.
Yeah, I agree with this.
Well, Avengers on Varas. I like the reality TV angle of it. I think that's good. I think done better in a later story, which I'm going to mention. Maybe that might give you a hint of what's coming up.
I know what you're talking about.
So there you go. Spoiler, if kind of. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think yes, 249 minutes. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's an idea that's decently explored, and Sill's quite good in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The rest of the cast not that amazing. Nothing
Yeah.
completely stands out. I think maybe the standout scene is the end of part one, with the Doctor's kind of like, they cut just as the Doctor's sort of about to like literally drop. So it's got some like goodish moments in there generally, but I think overall, I don't think it's a really classic.
Again, as well, even though we're saying these are the most overrated or overappreciated, it doesn't mean they're the worst. It just means that to us, we don't really see what other people see.
Yeah,
Avengers of Valor, I agree. It's too dark. I think it's sort of
maybe
like,
a bit actually.
I think it's sort of the equivalent of Dark Water, Death in Heaven of the Bond series, where like the whole "don't cremate me" thing doesn't belong in a kids show. That's really dark and really like. Then other people like that. Doctor Who, in essence, is a kids show. We need to keep it at that level. And the Doctor throwing people into acid and then saying, "Sorry, I won't join you." It's like, what are you doing, mate? You just kill people. You shouldn't be quipping that. And also, it's not like a Doctor Who death where it's like unrealistic. You just drop them into acid. Like, for example, for an example, an Iron Man movie. If Iron Man was to blow like a villain into space and they blew up, that's unrealistic. So it's sort of like, oh, that's really cool. The Doctor dropping people into acid. That's gruesome. And like the fact he quips, it's sort of like, nope. But no, Sill's great because Sill is maniacal. Sill's he's the shining light of the Sixth Doctor era, to be honest. I'm happy they brought him back because he's just fun. And I think Nabil does a great job. The voice I really like, although people find it quite grating. I think that's sort of the point as well. He looks great. The design's really cool. But yeah, I think the set design in this lets it down as well because it just looks dull.
Yeah,
like it looks.
I agree.
It just, but no, yeah. So yeah, it's fine, but it doesn't deserve to be where it is.
Just both I would appreciate it now.
Yeah, so I think I put Revelation of the Daleks there because I think it's solid. This is really bad, but I think it's actually just kind of solid. I think it's the one that makes the best of the 45-minute sequence. I think it's the one that capitalizes it the most. I think the Daleks are great in it. Actually, I like the whole the two. I suppose they're bounty hunters in it as well. I think their arc's kind of cool. I think it's just fine. I think it's like a 6-7 out of 10 deal. And I think people forget about it. I think, especially when you think about the grandiose 80s Dalek stories with a Revelation for the Fifth Doctor and obviously Remembrance for the Seventh Doctor, being a bit more grand, obviously with Tegan leaving, Remembrance just being a masterpiece. But yeah, I think it's solid. I think it's actually really good. I think it's one of the best. I think it makes the best of the 45-minute format it's got. And yeah, I think it works to its advantages. And obviously it's not perfect, but it's sure forgotten, I think.
Understandable. Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I don't know. I don't like Remembrance is like fantastic. I'd probably prefer Resurrection in my head.
Remembrance.
Oh, sorry to Revelation. My bad. Yeah.
Oh,
So if I was to do like a ranking in my head, I'd suppose Remembrance, Resurrection, and then Revelation. But
no, I think I would agree. I would agree with that. I think I'd agree. But I don't know. I think this one they perceive it as like by far the bottom. I don't agree with that.
And for me, it's the ultimate foe in terms of underrated.
I can understand why.
It starts great in my view because episode 13, it was sort of Robert Holmes, and I was kind of getting what he's going for. The whole they come the Valeyard gone into the Matrix. Then obviously the Doctor goes to chase him, and then they come across like Mr. Popplewhick and kind of like, oh, what's going on? There's some kind of weird, kind of unsuspecting stuff happening. The Valeyard really playing with the Doctor, almost like a heaven sent, even though obviously there are a couple of more characters in it. Of the Doctor go around trying to figure out, it's almost like a very much mind game kind of thing, like Deadly Assassin. It's almost like a sort of Deadly Assassin, and I love that story. So both in the Matrix, it's kind of like a cat and mouse but with some psychedelicness. And I think it started to go places, and I was really liking what they were doing. And some scenes are great, particularly when the Sixth Doctor's, at the end when he sort of, when there's a bunch of like sand and grain sort of like encompassing him, and there's some really cool sort of, he has like a fun way out of it. But I think, it's the conclusion that's a bit rushed, and it's a bit like, it's kind of come to that, which is a bit disappointing.
But again, there's reasons for that, isn't there?
Yes, there is. That's right. Pip and Jane Baker came in
to wrap it up.
And it's a hard challenge.
I think as well, because Bob Holmes was such a visionary.
Yes.
You can't really. You couldn't. It's sort of, for example, I suppose, if you were to bring in a competent director to finish off a Steven Spielberg film, I don't, what I mean? They've got that certain look that nobody can replicate it apart from themselves. So I think I agree with you. I think it is underappreciated. I think it is that ending which sort of doesn't help it, because it does feel a bit rushed, a bit out of nowhere. But overall, I think as well, obviously it brings back Ainley, which is cool.
Yes, it does. It does indeed.
Because we hadn't seen him since Planet of Fire.
No, Mark of the Rani.
Mark of the Rani. But even so, it's just good to see him. I like Ainley. I think he's actually a bit underrated. I think so. Obviously, people love Delgado. I like Ainley a bit more. I know it's blasphemy, but yeah, I like him just a bit more. I think he's.
That's probably. Do you know what, we've talked about the episodes, but that's probably, in terms of controversial, Ainley over Delgado.
Do you know why? I think he's a bit more camp, and I like a bit of campiness. I think Delgado is probably the better character, but there's something about. I like Ainley's laugh. I think he's like
right.
I think that's kind of cool. I like how mischievous he is. Like, and like he's like that mustache twirling a bit more, whereas Delgado's a bit more smart. I like how Ainley's like your typical villain, just having a bit of a laugh. I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, I think it's I'd agree with you. 7th Doctor time.
Cool.
Right. So it's you first.
Me to go first. Right. My favourite is the Curse of Fenric. Underappreciated is the Happiness Patrol. Overrated. I wrote my way out of this one. Almost. This is gonna be like the funniest bombshell. I don't know why I put it. The TV movie.
That don't count. You can't count that.
Oh, come on.
No, you can't. You cannot count that. You can. No,
but he's in it.
No, yeah, but that's like me going, oh yeah, Colin Baker's worst story, Time with the Rani.
Oh no! Come on, when you have Twin Dilemma and Time Lash,
I'm just saying you can't use that. He didn't even speak. He gets shot, and that's it. You can't.
No, he did speak.
No, you cannot count that. You cannot count that. I don't count. Come on, give us a real McCoy story.
It was almost my way to incorporate. No. The McGann stuff's great. No, all right, okay. Overappreciated. What's yours? Because I genuinely had a tough time with that one, to be honest.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good ones. For me, I went overappreciated. I went with Ghostlight.
I don't know if I can really say it's overappreciated.
I understand why.
Because no one really knows what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So it does. It's hard to appreciate it.
Would you like me to give my favorite and then underappreciated as well?
Okay, yeah.
Favorite. It's bitch basic, but I want Remembrance.
Right.
Underappreciated. It's a balance between Doubt and the Bannerman, but that's a kind of a jokey one. But I went Greatest Show in the Galaxy for me. Right. So I think Ghostlight. Okay, I'll let you talk about the TV movie. I suppose I'll give you that. I'll give you.
Only because
I'll give it to you. It's
genuinely. I genuinely don't think there's a story
I sort of forget that McCoy's only got 12 stories. You think because he's had 3 seasons, you think there's more, but there's not. But no, I think for me, Ghostlight, like you said, I don't know what it is.
So it's hard to know. Is it underappreciated? Is it over? It's hard to put a stance on Ghostlight. That's like the most difficult thing.
Yeah, it's
like. Even these great stories, Remembrance, Curse of Fenric, Survival, even Great Show in the Galaxy, I was like, they are in no way overappreciated.
This is the face I pull when I watch Ghostlight.
The TV, all right. the TV movie.
But yeah,
his exit is dreadful. I think it's probably the worst way for a doctor to go out to get to not even. Remember in the start of Doctor Who where they check the scanner to make sure everything's okay, check the readings, everything. He just walks out, gets gunned down, and it's tragic. It's a tragic way to start the movie, really. I think when McGann comes on the screen, he's great. He's a brilliant portrayal. There is that kind of funness with the rest of it. But in terms of because in the end, Sylvester McCoy, he is credited. He is a part of the story in a way. He kicks things off, and it's in my view, I think it's probably I think until McGann shows up, that's when the TV movie starts. I think for me, the music's great and everything like that, but I think in terms of from start to finish, I think the TV movie does kind of have the kind of off point, really. So
Wow.
mainly due to how McCoy, because you think about how McCoy's TV run, and you think that Doctor could have had a proper exit, and I think I think he still should deserve like a much better exit to the series, because he
It's a shame,
has
isn't
some
it?
complexity to
Let's
the character when things are getting going.
Can we just count survival and just like as the exit and the TV movie?
Yeah,
I know obviously
which is
we
not
want.
overrated.
I know obviously we want to count McGann as a Doctor because he's brilliant, but that first 10 minutes of the movie is interesting. But no, yeah, I'm annoyed you went with that because I struggled with because that's such an easy get out. But no, so for me, Ghostlight, yeah, I just don't know what it is. No one does. They don't. The people in it don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
In fact, it's artistic for artistic sake, I suppose. But yeah, it's not fun to watch. It's kind of like you watch it and you go, "Am I taking drugs? What's going on?" So let's talk about some fun, shall we? Right. So let's talk about underappreciated. I'll let you go first. Actually, give a proper point, not TV.
Well,
movie.
I think
It
that's
don't
a proper point.
It don't count because you're saying that. Would you rather watch Ghostlight on TV movie?
Maybe Ghostlight.
Oh, you're not a fan of TV movie.
When McGann, I think if we're talking McCoy,
No, but that
judging
don't
this on-
count. That don't count. You can't as an overall story. We're not talking about their acting roles. We're talking as an overall story. That don't count.
Okay, overall, the TV movie has its ups and downs.
Yeah, of course. So you
And
just
kind of
used-
Ghostlight has the same thing.
You
so
essentially
kind of
just used the Monopoly kind of a get out of jail free card. I went, do you know what? No, I'm gonna say that this is it because he gets gunned down within 6 minutes. This is horse shit.
But he's in it.
Fine, whatever. So yeah, would you say it was underappreciated? Happiness Patrol. I'd agree with that. Candyman's great.
That's the thing is, like, I think with Greatest in the Galaxy, that would probably have been. I love that story. It's great. I think it definitely needs to be talked about more. But I think that in terms of that season, maybe the Happiness Patrol has more of that underrated sort of quality for me. It's flamboyant. It's crazy. It's flamboyant. It's campus Christmas, as I think the saying is. It's campus Christmas, but it's bold. You remember the Candyman, no matter how ridiculous the Candyman is. You remember it. He's quite mad but menacing. Helene, the kind of parallels between her and Margaret Thatcher, the constantness for people to be happy, it's playing on that kind of in that kind of emotional state. It's really well done. It's a great metaphor for that. It's 3 parts, so generally the pacing's pretty neat and and tidy. It's cool, and some great performances. Also, the gun scene. Yeah. With the Doctor and the 2 gunmen, pull the trigger, end my life, and the gunmen not having the courage to do so. Great, there's some great moments. When the TARDIS is pink, why hasn't that not been a BNM thing already?
Yeah,
like pink TARDIS.
And also, I think I think people want a Candyman figure as well. There might already be.
Yeah, basically, you don't even have to do a Doctor TARDIS there. Just put the Candyman with a pink TARDIS. Why not?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think in a way it's kind of season 24 done right. In a way, because it's got that it's got that camp side, but also the more serious side that obviously Cartman wanted to bring in. I think it's actually that done right. I mean, I love Delta the Bannerman for some silly reasons. I think it's ridiculous and fun. Good for Adam Charlton with Time and the Rani. But I think I'm on the level with you there. But I think Greatest in the Galaxy it's one of the stories which, because it's got Rembrandts in that series. Rembrandts is like top tier. It's Belaronovich at his best. A Battlefield is solid as well. And it's kind of sad that it ended the two stories, because I like to see what if you could have done more. But yeah, Greatest Show is really good. It's got the horror stuff as well. I mean, I'm afraid of clowns and all that kind of shit, so it's kind of my worst nightmare. But I think as well, it's fun. It's like I said, it's kind of in a similar place of what I said about John Pertwee and Joe Grant. Katie and John together. It's just like mid-tier, middle of the road for Sylvester and Sophie together. Their chemistry is really starting to blend at this point. They're really beginning to be on fire together. I think it's really good. I think it's really solid. I think it's one of those stories that, again, 4 parts, kind of like it's kind of why I really like McCoy's era, because none of the stories ever say they're welcome. So even if the stories aren't rich enough, they end relatively where they should do. And I think this one is really cool. I think it's got a lot of elements that I like. I think it's cool. Survival was what Banjo appreciated, to be honest, because I think people think it's a bit strange, but I really like it. If we fight like animals, we die like
animals.
Right, so we're not going to do the Eighth Doctor. So we're just going to quickly, because the TV movie is.
Oh, we've done favorite.
Oh no, we didn't do favorite, did we? Shit. Sorry, my brain's.
Because you didn't remember inside per Fenric.
Yeah, so both of them. I think I'll speak on yours first. We'll do Fenric first.
Right.
I really like it. I think it's great. I think Ace, the Doctor playing, using Ace towards the end, I think is really interesting. Actually, I know I joke when everyone go, "Oh, I just want a Doctor that's nice to people," but within the context of the story, I think it's actually really cool. And I think it's McCoy in his latter half is run at his best there, with him, using his Ace's connection with the Doctor against him, against her, and kind of using that to help. I think overall as well, the Hemivore is actually really well designed. I like the setting. I think it's fun. I think McCoy's having great fun with it. I think he's loving the script. I think he's really getting into it. So yeah, I really enjoy it, Matt. I think you've great choice.
Yeah, there's some crazy inscriptions. They've got to code it. What's going on? The Curse of Fenric. The title of the story. So like, there's literally Fenric is there's like a gloomy presence to it. It gets gloomier and gloomier, and things really ramp up. And it concludes in that scene you very mentioned, where the Doctor is almost feels like he's betraying Ace and that trust there. But then obviously use that, they say, well, he sort of had to have Ace lose faith for that very bit to sort of win the day in the end. But Ace, there's some very interesting character moments with her. Literally, she's holding her mother as a baby. Like, what on earth? There's and Ace has sort of put her most sort of. This is where she's really mature. Even with Ghostlight, they go to the house that she burnt down. That's very interesting. There's this. It's one of the most complex arcs that she goes through. This kind of maturity and this very much this kind of really put through the paces in these kind of moments, almost as if the Seventh Doctor was sort of playing a sort of test behind the scenes. It's very good. So yeah, and I think this is the strongest illustration of all that.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think especially it's the quintessential Ace and Seventh Doctor story. I think it's really cool. I think it's very good. I think it's possibly the best in season 26, but that's a quality season in and of itself. So anyone could argue any story except for Ghostlight. I'm kidding. You can have your opinions, but yeah, for me, I went with the basic Remembrance of the Daleks, because it's just gold standard, isn't it? The Daleks have never been better. Although Genesis might be the better story, this is where the Daleks are at their best. In terms of the Daleks themselves, I think you have the amazing, iconic stairs sequence. You have Ace destroying the Dalek with a bat. You have those amazing moments. You can't get. You have the great Davros reveal at the end, which you don't know it's coming. It's just superb. There's not much wrong with it, if anything, to be honest. I mean that there are some stories that just live up to the hype, and this is one of them. I think. Would you agree this is possibly one of, if not the best story for the Daleks? Maybe not the best Dalek story as a story, but in terms of what the Daleks do and how they are.
Definitely. It's because obviously there's the Dalek Civil War between the Imperials and the Renegades. That's fun. You got some great Dalek action.
The special weapons, man.
The special weapons just completely not taking any of it. He's the OG of Daleks, really. It's they're crafty, but also there's a great amount of action with them. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think although I'd say possibly Genesis is the best classic Dalek story, I think the Daleks in this are the best because Genesis is more of a Davros story, I suppose.
Yes.
Really. So I think this is possible. I think McCoy's brilliant as well. The side characters are great. You even get the nice little Easter egg where they cut away just for Doctor Who's on the telly, which makes you go, what the fuck? But yeah, overall, I thought legitimately I couldn't tell you anything wrong with it. I will watch it as often as you like, whenever.
What I like about the Doctor in this, I feel like for most of the Seventh Doctor era, it's like he's playing metaphorical chess. Like he's very much behind the scenes, moving things, like manipulating things behind the scene. Obviously, getting the Dalek ship to destroy at the end. I think that's what I like about that Doctor. He's very, he's gonna win at the end of the day, and you're not quite sure how it's all gonna unfold, and then he is that kind of ta-da moment near the end. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's very good, and also unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc. That's all you need to say, isn't it? But no, understood. It's one of those references where for me, this story is a 10 out of 10. Like, I couldn't tell you much wrong with it, if anything, at all. Like, I think also our good friend Aaron is doing a watch long of this in aid of charity as well.
Yes, indeed.
Soon, I couldn't tell you the date, but you probably know, or at least have a better inkling than I.
The 27th of February, Saturday, 27th of February, at 7 p.m. Yes.
There you go. So it's an aid of charity. Again, I can't remember which charity. This is a terrible plug. But you should definitely go do it.
The Terence Higgins Trust.
Cool. So there you go. It's a great story, and also just go support the charity, go support Aaron, go support what he's doing. It's all great stuff. Yeah, and you can't really go wrong with watching Members of the Daleks. So there we go. Sorry, that was me just fanboying over one of the best stories.
I think this is going for 2 hours, and we've covered the classic series pretty much.
Done. We've got 5 more to go, baby.
Yep.
Right, the Ninth Doctor was probably the most easy/difficult because there's only 10 stories.
Yes.
So technically it's me first, now, isn't it? All right. So favorite, I've gone with Father's Day. Underappreciated, I went Boomtown. Overappreciated, I went Empty Child.
No, it's strange because none of those stories you mentioned are on any of the kind of criteria. So
yes,
this could be interesting. Favorite, Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. Underappreciated, The End of the World. And then overrated, this is going to be interesting one, Aliens of London and World War III.
Yeah, that was close. Right, I disagree with you heavily on one of them.
Is it is it Bad Wolf?
No, End of the World, I think, is by far his worst story.
Really?
I think it's boring, mate.
Oh my word! I
don't like. But again, I don't have nostalgia for it. This is when my nostalgia pops don't really come in.
Right. Okay.
I see, because my first Doctor Who story. I remember glimpses of Series 4, a bit of my dad's house near on the background. But my first proper Doctor Who story as a fan was Spell St. John. So my nostalgia pops aren't really coming in. So we'll talk about underappreciated first, I guess. End of the World, it's not bad. There isn't a bad first Doctor story. I think anyone can admit that. I don't think there's. I think The Long Game is perhaps maybe
that was probably been my least favorite.
Yeah, I think in terms of it's not very ambitious. It wastes Simon Pegg, and it does waste Simon Pegg. But this one, I like the Forest Lady, Cassandra.
Jabe.
Cassandra's better in this one than she is in New Earth.
Agreed.
It kind of is a good representation of the budget they've got now as well. I think that's cool. They've gone to space. I don't know. I think it's just a bit unremarkable. It's solid. It's fine. It's decent. I don't dislike it, but I think it's the most bleak of the first Doctor. I would say The Long Game has more interesting ideas, but are worse executed. I think this executes everything to a good level, but it's just not going for much. But that's fine.
For me, I put The End of the World in there because of the scenes between the Ninth Doctor and Jabe, and that they're sort of talking, and you can tell, the Doctor's very much, he's going along with this tree person who he's just met, but there's that kind of sort of inviteness, that kind of sort of kind of like there's already kind of a connection, sort of like a nice sort of friendship there, which I think is quite nice and sweet. And then when he's recounting the Time War and like that scene where there's like the sort of massive blades, when he's sort of going through that sort of, do you know what I mean? That's all near the end. He's sort of trying to fix the kind of climactic moments between Knife Doctor and Jade, and then Jade sort of burns up. And later in Star Wars Journey's End, she's like, "Oh, how many of you,
Yeah, it's like,
she's in there.
The fact that Clive wasn't in that montage still messes me up to this day.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but and also it's got the adherence of the repeated meme in there.
Yes.
It's got Toxic by Britney Spears.
Yeah.
And Tainted Love, I think, is in that soundtrack as well.
So
there's some fun stuff, but there's some like really dramatic stuff in there.
Yeah, I understand.
It's fun.
I get it. No, I don't dislike it. Like I said, I think it's decent. Yeah, it's just one that I don't really go back to. I suppose that and the Long Game are the two that I don't really care about. Because I think I would agree with them. I would say I'm quite dead on that level, but I think the person playing Dickens is actually what perks that story up.
Definitely.
But yeah, so it's fine. It's solid. It doesn't blow myself. For me, underappreciated, I went Boomtown because it's fun. I know I've said that a lot about the underappreciated ones, but it's the first time you get all the side characters together. Mickey's in it. I love Mickey. It's set in Cardiff, which is great. Margaret Sladine, Annette Badland, and it's a shame we didn't get more Annette Badland in Doctor Who, to be honest, because she's amazing. And yeah, I love this. The comedy is on point as well. Like, it's actually funny. It is funny. They're going for funny things. It is funny. Unlike World War III and Into London with the farting stuff, this one is funny. Like the whole she's in a meeting now. She can't see you. She's climbing up the window, isn't she? Yes, that is actually funny. The whole Jack and the Doctor scene of who's in charge, that's kind of good as well. You get a bit of drama with Rose and Mickey, where Mickey's gone off with somebody else because Rose left him. I forget the name, but she goes, "You don't even like
Trisha or something, or Trish or something."
Trisha Delaney, is that the one?
Yeah, that I think so. Yeah,
you don't even like Trisha Delaney. it's the whole buy me a drink first, the whole dinner sequence. Yeah, it's just fun. If you want to spend 45 minutes watching a fun Christopher Eccleston story, that'd be the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's be negative first. Overrated. I'm gonna go Empty Child Dr. Dances. I think it is really good. The only reason I put it here is because I do think it's the weakest of Stephen Moffat's scripts before he became showrunner.
Oh, interesting.
So, and they're all belters. But there are things in this in which he does better in later scripts, and therefore I said that this is like an 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10. People love this because of The Empty Child, which is understandable. It's really scary, really creepy, very well done. But I don't know, man. I don't tend to watch it as much as I do the others. And the thing as well, like you said, there's a better two-parter within the series, so it's not even the best two-parter, because so I don't know. There's not much wrong with it. It's because the Night Doctor series 1 is very solid, bar for a few. It's very, very solid. So you can't really. So yeah, I don't even dislike it. I think it's really good. But I think the horror elements are done better in Blink, and I think the horror elements are done better in Blink and the Library two-parter. So I think this is a very good landmark point. Obviously get introduced to Jack, but I think Jack's a real a-hole in the story and not the character we know now. I prefer the character we know now. I know some people don't like Jack, but I'm a big fan of Jack. So yeah, it's fine. I don't like the whole the Doctor Dances stuff is weird. Like, not the actual episode, just the whole subplot of Rose wanting to get Doctor to dance for some reason. It's strange. Don't get it. Weirdly sexual, which you can say about a lot about Moffat scripts. But yeah, no. But that's it. That's my only problems. I think it's the horror elements are great. The reveal of that lady being the empty child's mother is really good. The nano genes thinking that's what humans should look like. It's actually really smart and a really cool idea. The war imagery is really good. The whole bit at the start where it's like, is anyone seeing like a bomb in the sky? Everyone laughs, and then he realizes it's in World War II London. It's like, oh god, it's really good. It's yeah. I don't dislike it, but you have to go for an underappreciated one. And when there's gold, there's gold.
All right.
What do you think about the Empty Child Doctor Dancers?
Really good. I disagree with it being the weakest pre-showrunner script, but then again, I don't think there really is a pre-showrunner weak script in terms of Moffat's one.
No, but I did give it an 8.5 out of 10. Like, I
Yeah.
don't dislike it at all. I know.
Yeah.
I think Blink, although I assume that's probably what you don't like. Maybe am I wrong in that? I'll just assume it's Blink. Or would you say Go in the Fireplace the weakest? Ooh.
I don't know. I can't really put any of it. Curse to Fatal Death. There we go. Why not?
My darling bumps.
It's the pre-showrunner Doctor Who script that Steve Moffat wrote. I suppose it technically counts. But I like that. So yeah, Enter Child Doctor Dancers. It's got everything. It's very creepy. It's got some good comedy, like the banana. That's great. Jack, I think what's quite interesting, yes, he's not quite the same person that you grow to love, but I quite like that eventually you kind of see him as like, he's a bit, like why, kind of like why should we sort of root for this guy? But then I think the kind of redemption, I suppose, in later with the Doctor, I think kind of helps him. I think it kind of grows I like the fact he starts at that point, so he'd later grow into the sort of Captain Jack that you'd sort of more come to know and love in Torchwood, and then later appearances of Doctor Who, like establishes obviously the time agent stuff, the 51st century. So there's a lot of like rich history there that's sort of later explored. I like that. Yeah, I think it's generally got the whole package in terms of Doctor Who. In that terms, it's sinister, it's creepy. Particularly the tape scenes when they're in the room and the tape's playing, but you can still hear it, but the tape stopped. Like that, those kind of moments, and there's some really good, some great horror elements that have utilized really well. Nancy's a fantastic supporting character as well. Love her.
Yeah.
She's brilliant.
Yeah, it was very tough for me to pick like an underappreciated one, because although I couldn't pick The Long Game, for example, which does have problems because it's not heavily appreciated.
Which is why over that I went for the episode with farting aliens.
Yeah, I get why you put this. I think the strongest part of the story is the Earths. Jackie, Mickey, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's the strongest element. I like the whole. I don't hate the Celine. I think in design they're a lot cooler than they are with the farting stuff. But it doesn't bother me too much. But yeah, it's not brilliant, but it's not bad. Which I feel like is a kind of hallmark of the Eccleston era. It's not bad, is it?
I suppose he literally took the sort of politicians kind of fart about maybe a bit too literally in that kind of sense. But yeah, it's probably out of the two parts in that season, it's the one that I gravitate to the least, I suppose. Good performances. Obviously, it introduces Harriet Jones, which I suppose is an absolute plus. Penelope Wilton is fantastic. I don't think there's a lot in there that I necessarily think is like, oh my god, it's like completely groundbreaking or redefined. It's I don't know, it's just one that I never really go to, really, hardly, in terms of that season. So but I think but there's a lot of fans of the Slitheen. I think people want the Slitheen to come back again, and they sort of have come back,
because
obviously in Boomtown and then Sarah Jane Adventures and stuff like that.
I think as well they can be done well.
Yeah,
because does she even fart in Boomtown at all? In the bathroom when she's like stressed, but like not in like a moment of seriousness, which which they do too much in this one. I don't hate it though, which I feel like is a hallmark of the Eccleston era, because there's not a bad story in there. It's just one that I don't like I don't gravitate towards out of the bunch, I suppose.
It's strange because the design of the Slitheen as well. There's like the costumes as well. They're quite maybe a bit like quite large. It's a bit like how do you because sometimes it's practical, sometimes it's CGI. So it's a bit hard to really like. Just
taking my headphones off because my ears are dying.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it's a bit hard to kind of. It's a strange sort of mix, really, of practical costume and CGI.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think World War III is the stronger part when they're locked in the room. I think there's definitely some really good moments where it's like narrows it down. That narrows it down seems really, really good. I love Jackie's comedy. It's the Slitheen. I think she's brilliant in this story. I think Mickey's really good as well. I think this is where he begins to step up. I love the slap at the beginning. I love the vision, the imagery of Big Ben getting sorted, even though it doesn't look great by today's standards. Big Ben getting demolished is always a brilliant sight. Yeah, there's some really good stuff in there. It's just, yeah, like I said, it's not remarkable. There are these annoyances that RTV does, with the farting and things, but also it's the first appearance of Tosh. I don't know. I don't. Is it actually Tosh or is it not Tosh?
I believe it. No, I believe it is the same character.
I'm counting it as Tosh anyway, even if it isn't.
Yeah.
I do like the pig slave as well. It's cool. It's not a pig slave, but it's like a pig. Which could be.
I get you.
Poor pig. Yeah. Right. Let's talk about some good like Doctor. Father's Day for me. I like this one. Because I think it's just, how do I word it? It's Rose's best story of her entire run. Not as in like this is the best story of those two series, but I mean in terms of for Rose's character, I think when people say they love Rose, if I always watch this in the bottle, I'd know why. I think the relationship with the Ninth Doctor is brilliant. I like the fact, for example, in the story, he is taken out of the equation, like in the second act, for a little bit. So it's down to Rose and Pete. I like Pete in the story. I think Pete's great. I think that's fun. I love the consequences of time travel. I think that's really interesting. I think it's just really, really cool. It's my favorite. I think it's got some really heartfelt moments. I like the death scene. I like it when eventually Rose explains to Jackie that, I know it's in a later story, but I think when Rose explains to Jackie that, the person that held the dad's hand was Rose all along, which I believe, isn't that in Parting of the Ways?
Parting of the Ways, yes.
I thought it was, yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So, yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's just really solid. I think it's the perfect RTD, Doctor Who drama and sci-fi mix.
Yeah, I'd agree. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think there's much I could really add to that. Paul Cornell did a good job.
The only thing is that the Reaper's kind of a bit undermined now with all the amount of paradox.
I do want them to come back.
And
there isn't a sicker act, so I think what they'd, in terms of them getting a full story rather than cameos, I think, be fantastic. Yeah, Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. Oh my God, this story is another one I could praise. Like, this is obviously what I mentioned about the reality TV in Adventures of Varys. I think is well executed here, with each of the characters getting separated into each of the different game shows with a very sort of dark twist to it. It's a great concept, and you're sort of wanting them to kind of get out of there, reunite, and figure out what's going on. So it builds the mystery incredibly well. Then Daleks. The Emperor's really cool, big booming Dalek. Even that moment, how to survive the Time Warp, they survive through me. A great moment, and that conversation that the Ninth Doctor has with the Emperor, even throughout that Chris Ferguson, Nicholas Briggs, great. This is great Doctor Villain thing. I love it. It's great. Great emotional moment where the Doctor sends Rose home and sends his TARDIS to basically wither and die on Earth. That's quite, it's got some great emotional moments. As you said, literally the scene with Rose and Jackie, even the scene in the cafe is like, you make a stand, all that kind of stuff. And then piecing together the Bad Wolf mystery. And the Daleks are cruel and mean in this, and it's great. And Jack is a lot of fun too. It's a great end to the series. It's a great conclusion to the arc and the characters and everything. The Ninth Doctor makes the ultimate sacrifice by becoming David Tennant. I'm joking, but no, generally it's, that War Games and Caves are probably those are the three top tier of regeneration.
I think as well. I think also the first part kind of gets sort of swept under the rug. I think the first part is actually very interesting. Linda with a Y, great character.
Definitely.
The android, great character. The person that Rose is against in the Weakest Link game, who comes across quite nice at the beginning and then turns out to be a massive dick. What an asshole. People want that guy to be the Doctor, which I think would be quite interesting.
Patterson Joseph,
Patterson Joseph. Yes, he was very good. He's very I think he's just very good. One thing I don't like, obviously they didn't want Barrowman back, or Barrowman couldn't come back, one of the two. They just kind of leave him and sort of like, oh, poor Barrowman. I know they write it in Torchwood later on, but still. I suppose that's why they did it, right? Because they wanted him to have his own spin-off.
Yeah.
I suppose they dumb.
So it's kind of like, would you want him to have a spin-off, or would you want him to carry on? It's kind of like, what would you rather?
Yeah, I like Torchwood for the most part. There has its problems, but there's some great bits for sure. What about you?
Hmm.
What about you? Would you?
Yeah, no, what Torchwood? No, I definitely like for the Torchwood way. I think it's great. Like, and also like because like not it, obviously Torchwood's set in Cardiff, which is quite a prominence in terms of sort of Doctor Who anyway, in terms of production and sometimes even in the story. But what I like about that is obviously you have Gwen, who is the descendant of Gwen from Unquiet Dead. So there's this kind of Doctor Who and then Tosh and everything like that. So it's a nice tie into the Doctor Who world. It's kind of its own separate thing, but also it does neatly, it's a nice kind of sister show to Doctor Who. It acts kind of well. Series 1, it's kind of doing experimental, but in season 2 and series 3 where there's some good stuff.
Yeah, also
Really gets going.
I know this isn't a review of Planning Other Ways, but also that speech is very good.
Definitely.
It's sort of
Really good.
it's like that Chris Eccleston talking to the audience, explaining it, sort of like change and all this. And before he goes, to say you were fantastic, and do you know what? So was I. And the music by Murray is really good as well. That little stinger. This is
even the hologram speech in the halfway through. It's great.
The only bit I don't like about that, and obviously that's just me being like an ass. But when he turns around to look at her, I'm sort of like, I know it's meant to be like a nice little like awesome. It's sort of like, but it's like, how did you know? It's like, but yeah, no, it's fine. It's just me in the logic of the show. It's me going what? But yeah, right, here we go. So I piss some people off. 10th Doctor time. Let's go, baby. Right, so you first.
Me. Cool. Okay, so I put my favorite is Midnight.
Yep.
My underappreciated is Gridlock.
Yep.
My overappreciated Army of Ghosts and Doomsday.
Yes. Same on that front. Right, well done. Underappreciated. I've gone for a two-parter that probably makes no sense to anyone. I've been for Sontaran, Strategy, and Poison Sky.
Oh no, you didn't go Evolution of the Daleks.
No, I didn't. Sorry. And overappreciated. I didn't know where to go for this because there's so many, but I went with Waters Mars.
Okay.
I'm scared. But so right. So
what's your favorite?
So my favorite. Oh, did I say my favorite? I didn't, did I? No, I did.
Which one was it? Which one is?
I've just wanted to. So my favorite. I was stuck here. I've got 3 on my phone, so I don't know what to pick.
Right.
I thought over the time I'd think about it. I didn't. Right, just think quickly. So many. I could choose so many. I could have so much more. No, I'll go with quick bat. I'll go with Johnny's End.
Okay.
It could, yeah. It's the thing about Tennant, I'll say now, he's got some bangers, but he's also got some clangers, right? And not that kind from.
Yes.
But right, so all right, let's go for the overappreciated. Right, I would say my second overappreciated would be Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. So I'm with you on the level here. You're not going to agree with me on Waters Mars. I already know that straight off the bat because I'm a lunatic. But right, should I go first or on this one with the Waters Mars?
So shall we? Well, go for it. Overappreciated.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. So this is very similar to the City of Death thing, where I didn't get the specials box set for a while. I didn't watch it when it came out, so I was very much on catch up. I didn't get the specials box for some reason. It was really expensive in the UK. We had really strange releases for the box sets in the UK where we didn't get them like America. And for a while, series 1 to 4 had the new sleeves, but we never got the new sleeve for the specials till like a year and a half later or something like that. It was really weird. So the only way you could get it was in the massive chunky box set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was like 25 quid. And as at the time, 14-year-old, I didn't have 25 quid in my pocket. I could spend the $9.99 or whatever it was to get the slimmer cases, which was just the case with the DVDs on their own. So I did. So I remember the Who Addicts, so especially Matt Rowney, loves Waters and Mars. I remember watching those, all the YouTubers talk about how brilliant it was. I was like, I can't wait to watch this. And I watched it and I went, I mean, it's all right. Yeah. Again, I think it's just a syndrome of when you have something so good in your head and you imagine how it's going to be and it just doesn't come out that way and you go, oh, I see why people like it, but it's just not for me. Like again, Waters Mars is not a bad story. I joke some people that I don't like it. It's fine. It's a decent story. it's okay for the time of Victorious arc if you like that, but I don't like David Tennant being a stuck-up prick in the specials. Well, no, but that's what his character becomes. He doesn't want to regenerate, and it's awful. But it's so much so that the 11th Doctor makes a joke about it, and I'm like, yes, Doctor, well done, you. But yeah, so yeah, for me, Waters of Mars. I think it's style of substance again. I think the Flood look great. I think in essence they are great. Gadget's cool. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think the hype for this one. I think it just just brought it down. You know.
Okay. I would disagree, I suppose, in that one. In terms of like, I definitely think there's also a few more overrated in terms of Tennant that I'd put probably, that I'd say as opposed to Waters of Mars. But I should say it's a great base under siege. Lindsay Duncan's fantastic in it. It's pretty much the best thing to come out post Journey's End, really, in terms of Doctor Who, in terms of the 10th Doctor era as well. I think everything else around it's a bit sort of middling for me. But I think this one almost makes it up for them having the specials and doing it that way. But yeah,
do you know what? I would also, I didn't put it as my underappreciated, obviously, but I would also say Planet of the Dead isn't as bad as other people say it is. But I suppose that's whether you like a bit of fun or whether you think it's just tripe, which I know a lot of people think it is just meh. But I'd rather enjoy it. Maybe it's because I like Lee Evans. But
there you go.
And I like Daniel Kaluuya. So
there you go.
There you go. But yeah. But no.
Should I?
Yeah, go on.
Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. Right. Okay.
I wonder whether you think the same as me here. This is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna let you say what you think and also what I think.
Army of Ghosts starts off and builds a nice kind of mystery with the ghosts and everything, and Jackie's relative that comes back, and everything like that. There's some like neat stuff in there. I think, do you know what the Russell T Davies era does? And I don't think I've really noticed it. Well, I've sort of slightly noticed it, but then I watched a review. I kind of like there's a lot of like news coverage.
Yeah.
Like, and I think there's like so much of that, and you kind of miss it. There's like I think it's good to have it, but then I think this was the one where there was like so much like there's so much like social like different like broadcasters. It's good to like build the scale, to be honest. So it is good in that sense. But there's lots of weird like close-ups on like that as well. It's strange,
but sometimes it's weird.
It's a bit OTT. But I suppose that's more a nitpick, if anything. So I think there's but then obviously I think the big part is that it's a story with the Daleks and the Cybermen, and the Cybermen draw the short straw. They really do. And particularly when you think it's going to be like a proper Cybermen finale as well, because the Daleks, that's kind of the cliffhanger beat, is when the Daleks come out of the void and everything like that. And I think there's some good dialogue in the, there's some fun. But yeah, it comes off as a bit disappointing, really, and maybe it's tad overstuffed when it comes to sort of the end as well. It's a shame, really.
Yeah, again, I think this is the quintessential reason when we say the most overhyped compared to the worst, because this is by far not the worst David Tennant story. It has a lot of good things for it. I don't like the stylistic choice of Rose at the beginning, narrating how she died. I think that's like it kind of it takes all. If you know Billie Piper's leaving the show anyway, which people did, that's fine. You know that in the back of your head. But to be told this is a story of how I died, it's like, oh well, great. Well, now the ending's not as great. Like but I think Graham Harper, who I think directed this, might have been Joslin. I think it was Graham Harper though. I think he did a great job. Apart from the weird mouth close up, like you said. I think Mickey and coming back's great. I love the reunion scene between Jackie and Pete. I'm rich. How rich? Don't care. How much? That's funny. The whole Jackie being Rose pretend thing. That's kind of cool. It has its moments, but yeah, the biggest thing for me is that the ghost setup's really interesting and intriguing, and for them to just drop the Cybermen within the second part because the Daleks are here now. It's sort of like, oh great, because the back and forth's really good. This is not war, this is pest control. Very good dialogue. But then the Cybermen can't even harm the Daleks. It's sort of like, well, what's the point? Like, even if the Cybermen lost overall, which probably should happen anyway, let them harm the Daleks, like give them something. But yeah. Also, I don't care for the final scene on the beach.
It's a maybe it just goes a bit cheesier than cheesy, I suppose.
Cheesier than
But
cheesy.
I like the very end, of course, when Donna pops up.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about it is the continuity error with the TARDIS changing color.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's the change the set, but yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah. So do you want to go into underappreciated?
Gridlock, Macrap, do they exist?
I said this earlier, didn't I? I said that it is underappreciated because it's in series 3. I was
Yeah,
with you.
no, yeah. Oh, this one's quite a beautiful one. There's this kind of communal or community kind of element of it where everybody's sort of trapped under. There's like you have like this sort of car set, like the car set, and like the creativeness when the Doctor's going from one to the other. You have the two old ladies, the Chasidi sisters. That's great, and you have like I think there's a guy painted in red, I think, and there's like a bunch of like fun and interesting people under the belly of New York, stuck there. It's a fun concept. Martha's carjacked, and they're trying to get through traffic and everything. There's like it's very atmospheric. Definitely, I say a lot, but I say a lot about Doctor Who, but like it's quite gloomy, but quite because you're stuck there. You feel stuck there with the characters, and there's like so many variety. I love that. It just shows how and sort of expanding on New Earth as well. I think it's great. The Face of Bone just makes me sad every time. Like he's great. Knowing the revelation, Captain Jack is the Face of Boe, I'm still trying to find it hard to kind of piece that together because there's never really that bridge really because you never like where you kind of get it, but at the same time you kind of like there's never really a Doctor Who thing where there was ever really that kind of I don't want to say passing for George, I don't know, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I think it comes in the early half of series 3, and it's I don't know. There's something about that one that just it's got the emotion, it's got a great story, and it's generally cool.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with all that. I forgot which one I said was underrated. Because for Tennant, I put like 5. Which one did I say? Do you remember which one I outright said? Because I forgot.
Oh my god! I remember your favorite. You said Journey's End.
Yeah, Journey's End. Yeah, I'll just come up with one on the spot now. I've got 5.
You should just agree with me and say Gridlock.
Gridlock, yeah, it's one of them. I don't want to be like that though. Do you know what?
Oh,
Smith and Jones, I'll say. I suppose that's on here. That's on here. Do you know
that's
what?
good. I agree with that.
Do you know what? I prefer it to Partners in Crime, which I know a lot of people won't like, but I think the Jejune on the Moon.
I actually agree.
I think the Jejune on the Moon a bit better than Adipose on Earth. Look, the best thing about Partners in Crime, just to like compare the two, is the relationship between the Doctor and Donna. The issue is you don't get that until 25 minutes in, and once you do, it's great. But the first 25 minutes, it's a long, slow build up. This one, you're straight into it. You don't know everything yet, but you're slow into it. Also, I know the blood old lady is weird, but it's camp Doctor Who fun. If you can deal with space rhinos, you can deal with an old lady with a straw sipping blood out. I like. Unfortunately, the thing this does start is the whole kiss thing between Martha and the Doctor. I don't like relationships with the Doctor and the companion. I think it's weird. But I think this is good. I thought, you know what? I think it's fun. I think that's the main thing. I think it really introduces Martha. It sets what's different between Martha and Rose very quickly. There's a difference there. I love the hospital setting because it just looked like a generic UK hospital, which is terrifying. I love the whole little shop thing. I love the fact that she breaks the Dr. Sonic screwdriver. I love the slabs. They're cool, isn't it? Yeah, it's good stuff. Right.
We just got our favorites, right?
Yeah, the issue with favorites is this is why people go David Tennant's overrated. However, he does have some stellar stories. We've kind of gone for both opposite ends of the spectrum, which is good because I've gone for the blockbuster, whereas you've gone for the pure writing side of what's good about the Tennant. So we've kind of gone for both ends here. You can go first.
For Midnight. Oh yeah, I rewatched this one a couple of years back, and I'm in my early 20s now. I'll just say that, and I genuinely felt watching that one. I felt the same kind of thrill and emotion and kind of scariness that I did.
I love you said you're in your early 20s and seeing too old. Didn't say how actually old you were.
Oh, I am. Oh, that is old.
No,
But
you're
what I was
not.
like-
You're very youthful, sir. You're very.
basically what I was trying to say is this episode holds up the scariness, the claustrophobic sort of car under siege or like space vehicle under siege. You know, it gives like a very claustrophobic element. There is that kind of fun element where you do get to sort of know everybody, and so by when everything hits the fan, you know you might not know enough about everybody, but you do get a sense of like the kind of people that they are and the decisions they make, and you know, like who to trust, like what's going on and they should do, and you're so into people's heads in that sense. It's great. Like the supporting cast, you got Colin Morgan in there. You've got
Patrick Troughton's son.
Leslie. Is it Leslie? Oh, the person who plays Sky Silvestri, but
You'll know this better than me, mate.
Happy from Happy Valley, basically.
Yeah.
Someone low. Yeah, she's fantastic. Brilliant. Love it. Yeah, I think it's an episode that absolutely holds up, and I think it'll continue to hold up really, because it's got the scares, it's got the thrills, it's got the Doctor being quite, you know, narcissistic as well. He's saying everyone's like, how are we getting out of it? And he's like, oh, because I'm clever. And but also he's scared, and like he's come across the Daleks, the Cybermen, but he's like terrified.
Yeah.
And he's very much, it's a more kind of restrained kind of Doctor. It's a Doctor more vulnerable Doctor as well, which I think is really fascinating. It's far fascinating when sort of put in a vulnerable state, sort of like Fourth Doctor Pyramids of Mars, where Sutek's literally got him under his spell, really. So I love it when Doctor Who kind of puts the Doctor in a very vulnerable position.
I'd agree, and I think this is the perfect example of how much Doctor Who can do with so little. You know, it's like a small cast, a proper base under siege, essentially, with them on this train, with a villain you can't really see, and just the build up and the character interactions. Tennant's on fire. You know, and when Tennant is good, he is good. There is no doubt. But yeah, I'd also think the sacrifice at the end is very telling, and I love the ending with the Doctor and Donna at the very end. There's a nice little scene. Donna's not in this one much because Catherine was busy shooting Turn Left. I assume anyway. So they split these two off. It's really good. I like it. I think it's really fun. It's not fun, but in terms of it's proper storytelling, it's Pete T. Davis for me, and it's
that's his name though, Pete T. Davis.
Yeah, Pete T. Davis. But you know, yeah, I think it's superb. You know, those last 6 episodes in series 4, you could have picked any of them to be in the best category, to be honest. Whether you pick the library 2-parter, you pick Midnight, Turn Left, or what I picked, which was the finale itself, the blockbuster event itself. Still not itself. And look, this is not the best story in terms of, but it's the most fun. It's satisfying in almost every sense of the word. It's never dull. You can watch it over and over again. It's heartbreaking. It's everything, isn't it?
It's basically the Stolen Earth is Infinity War. Journey's End is Endgame. Journey's Endgame. There you
Journey's
go.
Endgame. But yeah, it's like this fun blockbuster with every character for every Doctor Who show that you've seen in the RTG era with Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood coming into it. It's great. You have these great moments where the Doctor and Rose finally get together. You have the great cliffhanger, David Tennant regenerating, and then you have the really sad ending of you know, Donna at the end, or every time you know, it's Khan saying one will still die, and you don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, just awful. And you get Davros, Julian Bleach, possibly the best portrayal of Davros since Genesis. You know,
yes.
Unfortunately, Moffat did sort of ruin it in the Series 9 2-parter, but here Bleach is great, and I think it's fun, man. It's just it's going for big and it hits.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It's very ambitious. It ties everything together. It feels it. That's why I say, like, with the Infinity War and Endgame comparisons, it's almost been building up to a kind of big kind of moment where you feel like every kind of characters in it, threads, sort of story threads come together, and everything like that. And it feels really rewarding, particularly if you watch from Rose and you've gotten to this very point. For the viewer, it's probably it's a very satisfying moment. And they, as you said, they go for big. You didn't think there was enough Daleks in Battle Particle Waste. We're just going to throw a dozen on the screen at the same time, and there you go. And we've got Davros and a Supreme Dalek and a sort of messed up Dalek in Dalek Khan.
I mean, look, the best way to describe it is if the title sequence doesn't get you excited enough, I don't know what will. All those names in the title sequence alone, that's just all you need. But now I think the thing that really makes this the perfect story is that there is stakes, and you lose possibly. It's probably the saddest companion exit to this day in terms of pure writing. For me, it's not the one that hits the hardest because the next companion exit still hits the hardest for me. But the performance of Catherine Tate, the whole Charlie Chaplin, that thing, and then she goes binary, and you realize that no, she is going to go. You get the heartbreaking one of the Doctor doesn't have to kill her, but he has to take away essentially who she's become, and she has to revert back before the runaway bride. And it's sort of like, oh no. And that scene of Wilf going, Bernard Cribbins is sensational. That little one bit when you see the Doctor at the door and he goes, Donna, and it's like he doesn't know what's going on. It's sort of like, and then the Doctor has that one good moment where he tells Donna's mum, what's her name? Sheila? No, it's not. What is her name? What's Donna's mum's name?
Oh, Sylvia.
Sylvia. When he tells her that maybe you should tell her that you value once in a while, that sort of thing. That's really good. And you get that moment. I'm so happy they cut that Cyberman scene out at the end because that would have really cheapened it. You know what I'm talking about, right? The Cyberman scene they cut at the end where the Cyberman pop up behind him. I'm so happy they cut that. It's just it's heartbreaking, man, isn't it?
Very.
But it also it's just grand. It's like Endgame itself. It's grand. It's like the Endgame of Doctor Who, and I don't think in terms of scale, even the Day of the Doctor, I don't think really hit the heights of this. To be honest, but there you go. That's why I picked that. But there's so many Tennant stories you could pick because although Tennant I would say is overrated, there are some belters in there.
Yes.
Yeah, just is true.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Now we move on to your favorite Doctor.
Yeah. Okay.
This is like the Tom Baker part, but it's you.
Yeah. So, okay, I got to go first, haven't I?
And rightfully so.
So, my favorite. Oh, I couldn't pick. I still can't. To this day, I still couldn't pick. Oh God. I'm still. Can you go first, actually? Because I can't do it.
Are you sure? How about go Underappreciated?
Underappreciated. Oh, there was a few, but I did go with. I was thinking Rings of Akaten. That was almost one of them. I was like, maybe that's it. And then I thought, oh no, there are a few that people don't like that I would like. I thought even Underappreciated. Do you know what? I went with Rings of Akaten, but I was so close to saying Curse of the Black Spot. But I went with Rings of Akaten. Overappreciated, right? Ooh, I wanted to say the easy get out was Day of the Doctor, but I didn't want to go there because it does succeed what it's trying to do. So I couldn't really say that. So I'm also the one that I think is slightly overappreciated is Doctor's Wife.
Right. So obviously you got your underappreciated, overappreciated. Do you need more time with your favorite?
I don't know, man. There's so many.
If I say mine, maybe it might. Yeah, okay. Yeah. My favorite is it's a cliche, but I'm going with it. Vincent and the Doctor. Underappreciated. It's funny actually because you said Rings of Akaten. I put Hyde as my underappreciated, which is
the other Neil Cross. Yeah, the other
Neil Cross one. Yeah, technically, yeah. Overappreciated. I was thinking about it, and then I went. I think this one's probably liked a lot more than I think it is, and I put The Angels Take Manhattan.
You bastard. No. Okay, yeah. No, I would say Vincent the Doctor is my favourite, but I will change it just for the sake of this, and I'll go 11th Hour, I think.
That was almost going to be on there as well. It's one of those two, really.
Yeah, so, right. I think we need to go for the underappreciated. No, the overappreciated. So, no, yeah, overappreciated things first because I think always better to be negative first than positive.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would have gone. You would have gone Cold War. Yeah, I know I don't like Cold War, but nobody loves Cold War. People love The Doctor's Wife, and I don't understand why. I think. Look, in essence, it's a beautiful story, but I watched it recently. The issue is there's not much stakes. House is great, but he's not in it very much. You imagine he's in it more than he is. Michael Sheen's brilliant. Saran Jones is brilliant. Matt Smith's brilliant. They're all brilliant, but there's not much to it. And I think it's great. It's solid. It's like a 7.5 out of 10. But I would say that because it's Matt Smith's era and I love it. But yeah, it's just, it's not as good as people say it is. I think there's definitely a lot better in Series 6 alone than there is with The Doctor's Wife. It's better than that Ganger shit, though. That is awful. And I know you agree with me on that, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, God. Because literally we're doing the watch song, which comes out this Friday actually, and the next time I come on, and I think a few of us went, "Oh, for fuck's no!" Next time, but yeah. So The Doctor's Wife is solid. It's fine. I'm not going to say anything more on that because I can't say I don't like it because I do, but it's just not perfect like some people think it is.
All right.
Right. So you're overappreciated.
The Angels Take Manhattan.
Wrong.
Is that where we end it? All right, underappreciated.
No, of course, say your piece. I'm joking.
All right, so this was a bit. I almost went there, Doctor. As you said, it succeeds in celebrating Doctor Who. Maybe not all of it, but it's hard to please everybody. But I think H.M. Manhattan, I like the departure, but everything leading up to the departure is a bit meh, I suppose. I think is the Winter Key, the fact that they sort of obviously they do zap back people in time, but then they sort of grow up in that bed. As there's this kind of coolish ideas in there. The cherubs. I think that's the thing. It's sort of, you think it's cool. It's coolish. It's like the Statue of Liberty angels a bit. That's a bit strange, considering New York's a city that never sleeps, and no one's going, "Oh my God, what is this statue that's moved from Staten Island all the way over here?" And you're like, "There's some weird there's some." Also, River slapping the Doctor because he healed her hand, and she's like, "Oh, you're being a bit sentimental." I'm like, "What?" There's some strange character and dialogue choices. That just lead up to it. The departure itself on its own isolated bubble is great. It's bittersweet. Even the stuff following the departure of the Doctor reading the forward, and then you cut back to young Amelia at the end. Everything comes full circle and it works. Everything that leads up to that scene is questionable, and I think it's half measures really. There's some decent back and forth, and you kind of feel like maybe the companion should have left earlier, almost like a Clara thing. Like maybe at the end of Series 6 is where Amy and Rory should have left, really. I think it's gotten to the point, because also before that it's to start off with the series, you have Asylum for Daleks where they divorce and then get back together in the same episode, and then they kind of trundle about for a few adventures before kind of leaving at the end, and it doesn't really feel and the payoff is great, and you kind of feel like they should have that moment at the end of Series 6 and then completely start afresh with Series 7.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, but I'm not. I get all your points and they're all correct. However, no, but you know what I mean? Because I would say the same thing about the Hand of Fear, but I assume you have a connection with the Hand of Fear. Where I think because I think Hand of Fear I think Hand of Fear is boring, apart from the departure and isolation, right? So I get what you're saying, but I think it's a character piece. I'm connected to those characters. I'm connected to them as a group, and I particularly love it. It's the same reason I really like Time of the Doctor, even though Time of the Doctor has issues, like a lot of them. This has a lot of issues, like you said. The Statue of Liberty being Moving Angel, that makes no goddamn sense because people would notice it. The whole
he literally says the city that never sleeps. And you're like, well,
yeah. And it's just like you should what you said, mate. But I don't know, man. It's when you're emotionally connected to something, it's like this sounds weird, but you know what I'm trying to say. I just love this group. I think the finale's awful in terms of emotionally, I cry every time. I just want I want to go into bed, just go in the fetal position and just weep for hours on end. But no,
It makes it more disappointing though that the
I-
ending of the story is great, and then everything
do
everything's a bit.
you know what's bad? I'd give the story a 9.5 out of 10, which I know it's not that good.
I go 5, to be honest, 5 or 6.
I know you would. I know a lot of people would, and I get why, but just.
I keep forgetting the pre-credit sequence of the detective, and like you kind of think, oh, I get it and I like it, but
Yeah, I understand. I get it. Also, though, it's fun. Anyone that's listening now, we've been going for almost 3 hours. If you're still listening, trooper.
we got a couple. We're nearly there now.
I know. All I figured out is I'm definitely ordering takeout this evening. Because I probably won't get to after editing this and uploading it. I probably won't be eating until about 8:30, 9 o'clock. So
yeah.
Right. What's next? We've done the negatives. Positives.
Let's do underappreciated.
Underappreciated. I went with Rings of Akaten. People say the story is just a speech. I disagree. I think that's wrong. I think because you agree with it. This you agree.
I
with
agree.
it.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
I think the only thing that kind of make no sense. I think people saying that the leaf makes no sense and it's wrong. I don't think they're really getting it. I think Mary Gillell, the actor that plays her, she is one of the best child actors in that side of Who, for sure. I like the look of Akaten. It's quite many times, especially in the Moffat era, we go to a location and we explore it for what it is. And the Doctor just goes to a location for the sake of going somewhere. You know, we get that in Venice, but that's not just Venice. It's not a space planet thing. You know, I like it. I love also the speech. Perfect. Like I know it just is. It's not great, but again, it's not going for greatness. It's going to be a solid part of a story, and that's what it's trying to be, and it does that. There's my piece. You know, I can't really say more than that because it's not a grand story. It's Clara's second story. It's trying to be the Shakespeare Code for Clara. You know what I mean? It's just trying to introduce her to the world, essentially. Yeah, that's my piece there. It's nice. Solid. It's not the 6th worst story in Doctor History or whatever it was in that 2014 DW Empire. That was ridiculous. That was awful, that, wasn't it?
I look forward to the next poll. I'll say that'll be very
when
interesting.
When do they do it? It's every 10 years. Again. I hope they do it soon.
I don't know if they'll do it after the 60th, maybe, or something. I don't know. Because obviously we're on to sort of the last Matt Smith, so they'll include Capaldi and then Whittaker. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you're underappreciated.
From the same writer who's just great. Like, as you said, I like Rings of Akaten. Definitely should have been showrunner. Definitely like Rings of Akaten. Very good. Very. It's the one episode in series 7 where I think Clara's great. Actually, I quite like her in this story. Yeah.
Do you want my unpopular? Do you want my unpopular opinion? I think Clara's a lot better in series 7 than she is in the rest of the show.
Maybe just Rings of Akaten alone for me. Yeah. So Hyde. It's really cool. It's spooky. There's it's got a good I like Jessica Raine in it. She's wonderful and great, and there's a nice relationship between her and the other bloke. It involves a bit of time travel, which I quite like, the time travel element. Sort of tracking back through time, and Matt Smith saying Meta B-list wrong.
But they made him reshoot it, didn't they? Because he said it right, and then they made him redo it, which is the weird thing.
I think so, yeah.
Which is weird. I don't get it, but yeah, I agree with you, Hyde. I think it's really cool. I know people don't like the intro. I kind of like the cheesy intro with them going like, "Who are you?" and Clara goes, "Ghostbusters." I think that's cool. Again, Clara's really good in this one as well. I like Clara in this story as well. It's kind of cool that Verity Lambert pops up as well from Adventures Most of the Time.
Adventures Most of the Time.
Yeah. I like their love story. I think it sort of loses itself in the sci-fi-ness of it. It turns out it's not a monster; it's a person. I sort of go. oh, couldn't it have been a ghost? But again, it's Doctor Who, so it's gonna have that sci-fi element. I understand for some people it wouldn't, people want it to be a proper ghost story, but that's not what Doctor Who is.
I suppose that part doesn't really bother me that much. And also, I'm just trying to figure out how much of the Adventure Space and Time crew, the cast rather, have popped up in Doctor Who subsequently. You have David Bradley, obviously Sacha Dhawan, and then Jessica Raine. So I'm just like, what about the rest, man? What's going on?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think, we just need to get more of them in there. Let's do it. Let's get them all in. Yeah, so Hyde's good. Hyde is good. I think Super 7 Part B might be, if we were to be input eras, but I think that's the most underrated era. Because although it's got your ploppers, like, I'm trying to be Moss now, but ploppers like Nightmare in Silver, which is bad. It's also got some solid stories in there. But yeah, I agree with you. Right now, best time. I love both these, so I'll be overwhelmingly positive. Here we go. I know you're going to disagree on mine because I'm going to say the 11th Hour is the best post-regen story ever. And I know you'll disagree.
Up there.
You'll probably think Robot or something like that. I love Robot.
Or Spearhead.
No, Spearhead.
Or even Power of the Daleks.
Nah, sorry. 11th Hour for me. Because you know what? This had an almighty job. It not only had a new showrunner, a new doctor, but a new producer, new companions, new everything. And that's something that those really don't have apart from Spearhead. And I will give Spearhead that. But I think as well, it's a lot difficult to change a show in the modern era because there's more competition now. If people were literally, the BBC was so worried about Doctor Who post-Tennant, they thought about cancelling it. That's how bad. And you know what? This, I think, as a viewer, I wasn't at the time, but this must have reassured people that no, this is going to work. I think Prisoner Zero, although not the most outstanding villain, is just a very good and useful opening villain for the Doctor, the 11th Doctor. He's not overwhelming. I think it's really cool. You get Olivia Colman in it. You get the guy watching porn. It's funny, is that a bit of an edgy joke for kids? Sure, but will kids get it? No. So it's fine. It's not like the "Don't Cremate Me" thing, where it's like, where it's like, oh yeah, they understand what death is, and but they won't get "Don't Look at My Laptop, Get a Girlfriend." That's the joke that adults will get and kids won't. I think that's done right. Obviously, Amy in the police costume is something that some people would enjoy, but also I think the only person that I think is underserved here is Rory. But then again, that's kind of sums him up in at least the beginning of Series 5 because it's a character that grows. I think as well, I like the coma stuff. I think that's really smart. It looks great. I know there's an accidental lens flare in there, but that scene is beautiful. The Doctor trying out the food is hilarious. Yeah, just all good stuff. It's not perfect in terms of, but it's damn near perfect.
Groovy. So I should go for Vincent and the Doctor. My God, can an episode be both visually and emotionally beautiful? I mean, this one gets it, man. This one hits the heartstrings. Tony Curran is superb as Vincent Van Gogh. It shows it's sort of. It had a lot to say about mental health as well, and it's a tough one. It's a really sort of tough watch as well. It's one of the sort of toughest episodes to really sit down. You really got to be in the mood for this one, particularly with the emotions and everything. And Tony Curtis is one and only. Richard Curtis, sorry. Richard Curtis wrote this one, and it's beautiful. It's his one and only, and he should definitely come back because he's honestly great. Bill Nighy's there, and he's cool. The Crephaeus, which I think a lot of people say, is it a pointless monster? But I think it hits home the point a bit more. It's like a monster that only Vincent can see because it's almost a metaphor for his kind of depressed, his sort of mental state, which is like, oh my God, like, that whole element. It's kind of strange. It's brave of them to do that. Essentially, it's really brave of them to go that route. It's fantastic. It's bold. There's some beautiful stuff when Vincent gets to see all the work he has done, all the paintings, how loved they are, how beloved for many years, and everything like that. And then I think what hits it home, because it's pretty much one of the last moments, is when you see the sunflowers, and then for Amy Vincent, the score by Murray Gold's great. Even the song Athlete Do Chances, used wonderfully. It sums up the beauty of what Doctor Who could do with stories, and I freaking love this one.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you all the way. Yeah, I can't top it. All I can say is that people that don't like this one, I would understand why. For me, it hits home. Like you said, it's the perfect thing of just storytelling in every sense, and you can't really get better than that. Tony Kieran's what makes it, I suppose. I think if he as Vincent didn't work, the whole story would fail. But he's beautiful.
He's probably my favorite historical guest star, or like his guest star, or rather my favorite guest star who's played a historical figure in Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just I cry every time, and and that's testament to that, isn't it? So yeah, nothing more to say on that. Just can't disagree. That is the Matt Smith era wrapped up.
And now 2 more Doctors.
2 more Doctors. I know you guys are excited for the last one, but we got one more to go. Mr. Capaldi.
Indeed.
Right. So best, most overrated, most underappreciated. Is it you or me? I forget.
You go first.
I go first. Cool. So for me, the best one is probably going to be, no surprise to most, it's the Dr. Falls and World Enough and Time. Underappreciated. I'll go with Smile. Not the best, but I'll get into that. And overappreciated. Heaven Sent.
Okay. I've changed mine at last minute. I've changed my favorite at last minute, rather, because I was debating, but I think on reflection, I kept thinking about it. I think this one sticks in mind. My favorite is Mummy on the Orient Express.
Understandable.
My underappreciated is Under the Lake Before the Flood.
Understandable.
Overappreciated is the Zygon Invasion and the Zygon Inversion.
Understandable. I would agree. Right. I'm gonna do the overrated one first because I want to explain Heaven Sent.
Okay.
I really like the story. I really like it, but I don't think it's top tier Capaldi. I think it's like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I think some people feel the same way, right? I feel like unanimously it's a beautiful. Rachel is probably the most beautiful Capaldi story in visuals and the way, like the idea of it, the concept. Rachel Talalay does a great job in this, no doubt. And I think Capaldi's probably doing the best he can. But yeah, so I'm gonna go. There's nothing more to say on that because I don't dislike it. I don't see it in that higher echelon that some people do.
Right.
It's not one that I go, oh yeah, people like it and I don't like it. It's more, I like it, don't like it as much as certain people.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way about the Zygon 2 part, to be honest. Like I like there's some good moments in there. The whole Earth invasion, the Zygon Clara Bonnie thing's decent. There's some kind of interesting stuff there, but I suppose overall, I don't know if it's like, it's. I suppose it's one I've never really gone back to. It's not one I feel it has that rewatchable factor in it. In terms of like unit stories, there's some I suppose better stories for them, but generally, I don't know. I think it's got scale. Like the whole the scale of it is good. But then also I just remembered it's got Dr. Funkenstein and Dr. Disco, and it's got some really strange character stuff. But even the browser history gag, which is a running gag in like Moffat stuff anyway.
Don't look at my browser history.
It's a bit, it's a bit. I don't know really, but apart from some isolated moments, on the whole, I don't find it as like rewarding as some others. I'd say.
No, I'd agree with that. I think again, no complaints from me.
Speech is good though, I suppose.
Yeah, it does a job, doesn't it? And does that job well.
It's at home.
You cannot. I don't think it's a bad story. I think the issue is that it's sort of like a one-stop shop. I'd say this is sort of where the speech does overcompensate people's thoughts and opinions on it, because
I would say so. Yes.
That speech is incredible. I also don't think the story is unnecessary. in a sense, because it kind of does what the Dead Doctor does, but this should be a Series 8 story, not a Series 9 story. Like you should either acted upon the Zygons earlier or just not bothered. It feels like way too late. Like I didn't think of this wasn't a burning question I had. Like, oh, what happened with the Zygons and the Doctor? I just kind of forgot. And at this point, I can say that because at this point I was watching. So, but no, yeah, I don't know. It's not bad, but it's not as great as people say. Right. So now should we go? Let's go underappreciated. I think. I went Smile. This one's just solid, isn't it? But I think Series 10 is so good. People kind of forget about this one. And it's kind of just your typical Who story, but it does that so well that it's worth it. I watched this one recently, like a week ago, maybe. I think it's great. I think Bill's great. I think the Doctor's great. I think the emoji bots are actually somewhat terrifying. I like the fact that the building is alive. I think that's a great concept. I like the whole you have to smile, otherwise the emoji bots kill you. I think it's great. It's much better than Frank Cottrell Boyce's other Doctor Who effort, which was in the Forest of the Shite. Yeah, just solid stuff. Nothing, not great, but not bad either. Just very solid, very fun. A great way to spend 45 minutes on a Saturday evening, which is what this would have been. Anything to add? What do you think?
No, I'd go with it. I'd agree. 100% agree.
There we go.
And underappreciated, Under the Lake Before the Flood. Yeah, Toby Whithouse did a strong and fun two-parter, which they're both different parts, because you have your kind of literal underwater base Under Siege, which is kind of a term that we use a lot for a lot of Doctor Who stories, but it's great. And also you have the kind of time travel element in the second part. It's a very creative way of using the two-part format, and you get to sort of seeing Gibbous in the second part because you know that he's obviously that an underwater creature. He's there at the beginning, and then seeing everything literally everything before it happens. It's great. It's a great. I think it's quite tight as a two-parter. It's a great cast, great band of characters. I quite like O'Donnell, who I think should have traveled with the Doctor. Definitely, she's fun. There's some. It's a very likable cast and very likable characters that when they do die, it's quite like, oh, that's a shame. You do feel that.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It is a bit like that, isn't it? It's sort of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit. Yeah, no, I'm with you again.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I think the Fisher King is great. I think he's anything that doesn't work for me because he's underused. He's got sort of built up and then dropped.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall.
Yeah, I understand that. I think it would be fun to see the Fisher King early in the story, but
yeah,
I do like it when he does turn up because it's Sarah Fonowitz doing the voice.
Yeah, it's great. All good. Smiles from me. Like it's series 9 is either a Marmite series. I think people either really love it or really hate it. I lean more to the negative side for me. But it's what people like, isn't it? I think the two-parters are some of the worst bits. So like I think the Dalek two-parter is abhorrent in the early bit. I think this is all right. I think Go Double When He Lived isn't technically a two-parter, but it kind of is, and I think that's bad. The Zygon two-parter is fine, and then it gets good towards the end.
Ish.
Series 9. What could have been? Oh, Sleep No More's in there. Oh no, yeah, they didn't get good towards
and Hellbent.
Oh, poor Capaldi, man. He got one good series.
Yeah, he did.
Right, here we go. Best stories. I've gone for the traditional one. I suppose we've gone for two traditional ones here, really, because people love both these stories. Let's talk about Mummy quickly, because I've done it on the podcast already. It's stellar, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. I like the kind of the mystery behind everything. Capaldi's great in the costume. He's very much so like a John Pertwee, Tom Baker figure, up to really figuring everything out, and it's not messing around. It's sort of like trying to make as much of the moment to you know, he's also like Pyramids of Mars. It's like that scene. He's not really, you know, when someone dies, he's like, right, it's kind of quickly move on. So because
You gotta, we gotta go. Like you can't.
Yeah, we got to like go. We got to figure this all out before anyone else like dies, kind of thing. And I like the bravado that Capaldi provides. I think that's probably Capaldi's. I think, you know, in terms of like, this is probably like the best first story to. It's the best first like kickoff. It's like this is Capaldi's Doctor at a peak, really, in terms of the 12th Doctor. And I like the kind of pastiche of the Orient Express in space, which is finally done after like the end of series 5 when it's kind of teased. I mean, suddenly it's revisited like a few seasons later. It's crazy how long it took, but there you go.
Just so I don't contradict myself either, I think this is done better because in series 5 it was a joke. And it was sort of like an unknown. It was sort of like you didn't have to do it because you could just imagine that they went on that adventure. You didn't have to see that one. Whereas with the Zygon one, they were like, "Oh yeah, we're going to leave this open," and then Moffat just was like left it for a year and a bit.
Yeah,
like, didn't need to.
And in terms of like 45 minutes, it's I think
it moves at a blip. It moves at a blip.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right for me. I went for the traditional one. Dr. Fool's One Nothing Time. Oh mate, it's great, isn't it? If this was the regeneration story, it would have been up there with the others. Partner of the Waves.
Agreed.
War Games. If this was it, but do you know what the sad thing was? It wasn't it, was it?
No.
And it was a shame because it should have been. The only thing that lets us down is the Bill ending with the water lady. I don't think that needed to happen. Would have preferred it if Bill died. I know that's psychotic, but it's just would have been better, wouldn't it? But apart from that, I cannot fault the story. I love the Cyberman war. I love the master stuff. I even like the weird flirting between the two of them. I didn't like that, but I thought it suits their psychoticness. The master would kind of find a female version of himself attractive because they don't do too much to make it like too weird. It's just like a bit like, oh, for Christ's sake. I think Bill's shock death is superb. Actually, I love Missy's start where she's like, "I'm Doctor Who." I think that's great. There's so much to love here, isn't there? It's just good stuff. That's it.
Yeah, no, this is one I absolutely adore. Yeah, it's a great multi-master story. It's a great Cyberman story. It's a great finale in a way. I call it finale to both Bill Potts and the 12th Doctor and Nardole. You consider Twice Upon a Time as that epilogue that didn't ever happen.
It's a shame. Even Nardole gets a romantic subplot in this, which is great. Him and his glass nipples. Right. Should we move on to probably the controversial side of this? Because
the 13th
Doctor. I don't know where this could go. We could agree or we could heavily disagree.
Okay.
Right. That's fine. So I'll let you go first because I'm more positive on this era than you are.
Okay. My favourite, and it is a genuine favourite, It Takes You Away.
Agreed.
Underappreciated. And I don't know if many people agree with me. The Ghost Monument.
I didn't put it there, but I would say it's one of the underappreciated ones.
And overrated, this one was hard, but then I kind of feel like I might have to go with my gut on this one and say The Timeless Children.
All right, cool. Right, I'm going to get some stick myself. Right, so my favourite, Takes You Away. Underappreciated. I was in between. I went with Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. And then my least favourite, almost overappreciated, I went with Fugitive with the Jadoon.
Okay.
I know that one's gonna be like everyone's gonna go, what the fuck? But yeah, right. Let's do. Actually, let's head down on a negative. I want to. That's why not. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun, shall we?
Fugitives going up against Timeless Children. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, the two that everyone either like or really don't like. I like. So we're kind of opposites. I feel like you like Fugitive.
I like Fugitive, yeah.
And I like Timeless Children, whereas you don't like Timeless Children, and I like Fugitive. No, the other way around. But you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so that's all that takes you away. A beautiful story, I think, legitimately. I think it's just beautiful. It's sort of where Ryan and Graham should have left. I mean, you could have kind of kept them to Resolution, I suppose. Actually, I suppose that's a fair point because
yes,
I think Resolution should have been where they left because you at least, although I don't like Ryan Scrive Colossus, you do get the bit with Tim Shaw and then Resolution with Ryan's dad. That should be where they left. But yeah, this is kind of like the bookend to the Grey story arc, which was kind of like the overwhelming story of series 11. The only really good bit about series 11 was Graham and Ryan's sort of relationship and them growing. And this is kind of the peak of that. You get the granddad moment, all the memes of people at the pubs were like celebrating after he said that. I remember that at the time, but also just the story of this world and this dimension where the people that you love are coming back. And it's a beautiful thing because I think it's something that we all want, but we know we can't have. It's moments like Graham realizing that isn't Grace, that's somebody else, that's not the woman he fell in love with. Heartbreaking moments when he has to say goodbye, things like that. It's horrible, isn't it? Also, that girl who is the Professor Blind girl who is actually blind and is an incredible actor. Just does a great job. Do you know what? I must say something strange. I like the frog on the chair. I think it's weird, and I like weird, and I think it's fun.
I'm just disappointed it wasn't a puppet. That's that's just me.
Wait, what? Wait. So was that? Wait, was it CG?
Yeah, was it? No, or rather, I meant I'm sad it wasn't a Muppet.
Oh, okay, right. I'm sorry. I was like, what? Yeah. I understand that I remember Kermit on the chair being the meme at one point, wasn't it? It was like, yeah, Kermit is the solid tracks. This film pleases me just like it did Grace. And I remember that was, yeah. I also think Jodie's incredible in the story. Not that I don't dislike. You're not a massive fan of Jodie's Doctor, but I like Jodie. I think she's cool. I understand why your problems, but I don't know. She just seems really fun.
She's great here.
She's great
here.
Do you know what? I'm gonna defend Jodie's Doctor by saying she's a doctor that I'd like to travel with just for. She seems like she'd be fun. Maybe she's not great in a television drama, but as a doctor, she seems like a hoot. But yeah, I'd agree. I think it's brilliant. It's got the stakes, got the drama. I think it's obviously it's Ed Hymes. Is it Ed Hymes? This is the one that is. I want to get. I think it's his best. Yeah, it's his better script. Even though I don't hate Orm 55 as much as other people, which I've stated before. I don't think it's great, but I think you're in the same boat as that, right? You don't hate it as much as other people who think it's like the worst.
It's cheese. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. Yeah. So it takes you away. I'd even say it's like. It's like a 9 out of 10. Like genuinely, I think it's one of the only Jodie stories that could be up there with some of the, not the greats, but like if we're doing like a tier list, it'd be like a second tier type deal. Right, underappreciated. Yeah, I went Nikola Tesla here, and this is also the only one for series 12 that I would say could be in that second tier on the tier list because Goran Visnich, I think that's his name. I think is my second favorite historical actor. He's nowhere near Vincent, but you can't really touch Tony Curran as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And do you know what? I also think Jodie's really good here. As well. I think her back and forth with Nikola Tesla is amazing. And I really like it. I like the Skithra. I know they're just a weird Rachnos, but there's something about I can never get her name right, but Rani from the Sarah Jane Adventures. It's something about her performance, the Skithra Queen. There's that sass to it, which I like. I like their Ravengers. I think it's really cool. I think Yaz is great in the story. I know you're a big fan of Yaz for reasons. But I think that's really good. I like how they split the companions up. I think Graham's really good. This looks amazing. I actually like the color grading in this story. It's going to go for like a sepia tone, only like lightly, but I think it works. I think it's one of the only ones as well where the weird cameras they chose for series 12 look actually nice. Unlike that scene in the TARDIS thing with Jack, where it looked a bit wonky. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just solid. I think it's just solid. I don't think it's like amazing, but I think like any historical episode, I think it leans on how good the historical character is. And I think Goran Visnich is a great job. He was also great in The Boys until he got killed off. Raise your freshkers to his character in The Boys. Right, and underappreciated you went with again the Ghost Monument.
The Ghost Monument. Right. So I think it's a story. I think like it starts off really well when they're all in space and
it's got the best 5 minutes of any Jodie story.
Yeah, it's separated, it's directed well, and it very much puts you on the edge of the seat, and you kind of feel like, Oh, nice. We're throwing some classic Doctor Who action. Obviously, following off from the first Earth-based story in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I think this is great. It's kind of a really cool opening to like the second episode, akin to sort of something like Enemy of the World, End of the World, and Ark in Space, where the dynamic, the setting shifts and we go somewhere else, and it's really cool. So like in terms of the introduction to the story, it starts off really well, and I love the ending to the story as well, with the them being reunited, with the Doctor being reunited with TARDIS, and got some great moments there as the companions go in, and it's sort of the first reveal of that set, and it's really cool. It's really nice. It's like, and this is sort of where everything's gonna. It almost feels like a loose two-parter with the first one, because the Doctor's there, the companions are there, they're in the TARDIS, off they go. That's it for the rest of the series. So I like that. Everything in between, I don't mind. I even don't mind a scene where Ryan goes out, shoots those sniper bots like Call of Duty style.
No, because I think it's cool, because I think anybody that age would do that.
I agree.
People say it's cringy, but like if you're like a Call of Duty player, or you like playing like GTA, it's like your dream to go out and shoot some like NPCs and things like that, And I think that's the moments where Tosin shot. But I get, as an older viewer, you go, well, that's just cringy. But I suppose that's kind of why like the relatability of a young companion kind of suits, right? And I think that's kind of sort of why Graham is the most liked, because of the family audience. People can relate to Graham a lot more. People our age find him funny because it's Bradley Walsh off The Chase. People find him funny just because it's Graham. Whereas, Ryan in moments struggles. I think Ryan is actually a very good character in Series 11 and gets a bit too much stick. Series 12, I get it, because he's got no purpose of being there. He's sort of just there. But Series 11, I think he's actually a really good character. And these moments he has are really good, I actually like Ryan in Series 11 a lot. I think it's really good. And I like the fact that he plays... I like the fact that Chibnall did go for a dyspraxic storyline, but he didn't overdo it. Because people said that he underdid it, but as someone that lives with a disability, it doesn't affect you every single thing. So if every single episode Ryan went, I've got dyspraxia, I can't do X, Y, Z, it would have halted the storyline. I also want to give a quick shout out to the Witchfinders as well, because I almost went for that, but underappreciated. I think that's a great story. I think Series 11 is slightly underappreciated in of itself. I think the only issue it has is that the things it's going for that are big really don't work. The little like one-offs are very solid and work quite well, but when it like goes to like a big story beat, it struggles. I think that's how I'd sum it up. Right, dislikes. Here we go. Thomas Children versus Future at the Dune. I'm gonna go for mine first. I think Future at the Dune is a blank story, and the only thing that makes it good is the reveals. I'm going to be honest. If you didn't have those surprises of Ruth, Doctor, and/or Jack in it, would anyone care? No. Look, the Dune are great. I love the whole stuff in the cathedral when he shoots the old lady. Compensation for your weapon, great. All is Alan, great. Everyone knows my problems with the Ruth Doctor. The reveal, it's fine. I get it. But I don't know, man. There's something about it. It's just not for me. I also don't like... I think Chibnall or Vinay Patel didn't really do Jodie a favour by making this Doctor so put on the complete opposite to Jodie, because I think it does just throw up that conversation, which is a conversation we shouldn't be having of we prefer Jo Martin. I think that kind of does a disservice to Jodie, but you can say, well, that's the writing's fault, which it totally is, but they put themselves in that position. I think the companions have nothing to do in the story. Like, ow. They get shipped to a storyline for a storyline. They're essentially they're in a Next Time trailer. That scene with Jack is essentially just setting up the finale. Although that moment is great, it's like when you play a video game and the whole crux of the video game is leaning on the story. As soon as you know the reveal, you don't care as much. You find it a bit hollow. And yeah, it moves at a blip because of everything that's going on. But as a story, I think when people go, oh yeah, it's the best of Jodie's era, I'm like, I don't see that as a story. I think what makes it is it's revealed, which is great, but I would never go back to it in another bubble. If I was doing a Series 12 rewatch, I'd watch it and enjoy it, but it's just not as good as people say it is, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Do you know the funny thing is, it's like, I feel like if you did take the reveals out, it would still be a fun story, because it's the Dune looking for a fugitive in Gloucester. I think that would be fun on its own. Did you need Ruth to be the Doctor? Obviously, he wants to set up his own arc and do his own thing, and that's fine. but then you could always, you know, do a completely original thing, and the story would still work. Did it have to be the Doctor? You know, I think for, you know, the whole fan and the great scheme of things, maybe, but, you know, I think take that out, you'd still have something fun. I agree about the whole companions being shipped away for a next time trailer. I do kind of get that, because before they got shipped away, in terms of like Ryan and Yaz, at least, they were quite cool. Like Yaz using her police skills alongside, you know, sort of against Jadoon, I think is really cool. And they started to do some good stuff with that. And then suddenly there they are with Jack kind of standing around. So I do absolutely get that complaint, completely. But yeah, I think the thing is, it does move at a really nice pace, and generally, it can be entertaining, as it can be an entertaining viewing. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand it. And now we go to Time of Sean, which is the most polarizing thing in the world.
I think I just gotta like gear myself up. So
that's fine. You do it.
I think, to be perfectly honest, for me it doesn't necessarily. I suppose I should actually add attention to Cybermen, because it is like the precinct part. Like basically one of the most compelling characters of the Haunting of Villa Diodati, as Shad, gets a bit of a short straw, I would say. Like, he's good at the beginning, but then I think there's a lot more that could have been explored and can be, because it was kind of his finale until Sacha Dhawan turns up and be like, nope, this is mine. It's kind of like, literally, it's the third finale in Modern Who, where the Master overshadows the Cybermen. It's a bit like it's a bit like we're a bit here again. Like, I don't get that, to be honest. And also the Cyberlords, that, you know, quite a fun idea, but kind of, they do literally stand around. I think they're standing more on show. They show their abilities. You can see that they could be a threat that could go out there, but you know, they kind of, for the most part, they kind of are just there on Gallifrey, just standing and just like doing stuff on the spot, rather than, I feel like, the whole invasion. So I feel like even the Cybermen bit feels a bit secondary, because obviously Chibnall wanted to do, you know, the revelations, which in themselves, to be perfectly honest, while I'm a bit more 50-50 than I was on the first viewing, to be honest, I can see why people like the whole thing. It opens the door. It, you know, it says, it doesn't, it sort of, I get it, but also at the same time, does canon and all that kind of stuff need a kind of explanation, or is kind of adding all this incredibly necessary? Does it further the 13th Doctor's character? And for me, it didn't really do that, to be perfectly honest. It didn't really change, because she's kind of in that whole, even in Revolution for Dark's the following story, she suddenly, you kind of feel like, I don't really understand her state. Sometimes you feel like, you know, she's the Doctor again, and then she's like, but all this stuff about my past, what is it about? It's kind of that flip-flopping, and it's a bit, I don't know, I don't think it's kind of just put Jodie in a weird kind of 50-50 situation that I don't really get behind, I suppose. And it's a bit of a strange.
Adam, she was in space jail.
Yeah,
I know that. I said that because I know that line grinds his gears so much. That he doesn't like that line. But
even the companions are just like, what? It's like they're not like, they're not really supportive of her, because like, if one of my mates revealed we were in like space jail or something, you'd be like, oh my god, are you okay? Is everything, you know, what happened to you and everything like that? But then they're just like mad at her. I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. No, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I think for sure it's a tricky one, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those that Chibnall's really got to pull out the hat now. Whatever he decides to do next, I think he's really in the make or break. Look, because I think the issue is this has opened the door to the issue. Whether what he does actually ends up being good, we don't know. We can't say. I ain't going to say anything, because I could say that Moffat was dumb at some points, and he was, but I love Moffat. Yeah, so you could do something really cool with this. You could take it in a direction we like. Who knows? Yeah, the story isn't done yet. That's a good thing to remember. This in itself as a bottle might not be very good, because it's kicked the door open to a storyline that some people are like, I don't know how to feel about this. But could it turn into something amazing? Very possibly. But that's time will tell. It's sort of like, in a sense, I suppose it's going to be that new Gallifrey going away thing, but it's kind of affects
Yeah.
the Doctor more. What I want to see, and I really want to see this during season 14, is to affect the Doctor more. I know
Definitely.
Ryan. I know Ryan was very. I don't think it should be every episode the Doctor should moan and go, "I don't know anything about myself." But I think this should definitely be Doctor going, well, I need to figure out more about myself. I need to, prove myself that I am the person that I think I am. We need to see her come across more. She can't just be this bumbling. So I guess she should keep that in certain episodes. And like I said, I don't think I like kind of this fractious stuff. I don't think she should come up every single episode and every single adventure because that would kind of derail it. But we need to see a change in the Doctor's character.
Definitely.
I think that's going to come through. Can this Timeless Child up be good? Yes. Depending on what he does, how he does it, what have you. Could the Master be lying? Yes, that would be the biggest cop out of all time and kind of ruin this finale and all the stakes it has. But yeah, I think there's a way out of that. It can be good, but he just needs to make sure that he has, unlike the Star Wars sequel trilogy, he needs to make sure that he has planned this out from point to point so that everything adds up. But in another bottle, I can see why people do not like this. I can see, based on the Chibnall era, why people are skeptical and like maybe this won't work at all and just be the complete bollocks. But who knows, eh? I can't say because we're not there yet. But Adam, cheers for doing this mammoth of a podcast because we've been going for this 4 hours. I didn't realize when we said about this concept it would take so long, but hey, it did. We started at 4. It's now 7:30. You're probably starving. I'm starving.
Yeah.
Anything you want to quickly plug? We won't do any wrap up. That's it. We've been going for 3.5 hours.
I think the only thing I plugged was literally
Attack the Bock.
Yeah, Saturday, 6th of March, 3 p.m. GMT. Go on Twitter, tweet along to the Daemons along with us because we'll be tweeting Bok and Azal and witches and supernaturalness.
Witches and shit.
That's why wasn't that the hashtag?
Yeah,
witches and shit.
Yeah, witches and shit. Yeah, check out your YouTube channel as well. Have you got some stuff planned, or are you kind of taking a break?
Potentially, yes. I'm taking a bit of a break at the moment
because you were like upload at one point.
Yes, because it was sort of around the Revolution for Daleks, and then also some box set stuff and Timeless Victorious and all that bits. So I just did some coverage, but there's not as I suppose. I don't know what I could cover. Like, what could I do? I suppose I could do anything I want, but not made any concrete plans yet. No.
There we go. Yeah, so there we go.
Anything you want to plug?
Just this Friday, watch along with The Doctor's Wife, and then next week, me and Beef we talk about Ant-Man. Apart from that, no, not much going on. No videos on the YouTube channel planned as such yet, but it's a busy time for university at the minute. During the summer, there'll be more stuff coming out, and I'm sure hopefully we'll get to meet up, and I'll hopefully do something in person with this lovely chap and others. So
there we go.
Yeah, but until then, guys, stay safe. Sorry this video was out late, but yeah. Put the work in, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.